All right, we have a quorum. We're going to go ahead and start the board meeting. First of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. We have gone through a lot in the school district. We've done some great gains. We're continuously looking for improving, and there's little setbacks that happen, especially just recently with the passing of Jade, one of our students, Jade Maldonado, and I know Dr. Marsden wanted to speak a little bit on that.
Yeah, thank you, President Medina. And yes, our hearts grieve, as many of you have heard. We lost Jade Maldonado, ninth grade student at Pacific High School, who was crossing the street as she should in a crosswalk on her way, I understand, early in the morning, and was hit by a hit-and-run driver who fled the scene. And later that day, Jade passed. Our hearts grieve and with the family, and this is a time for grieving, and we join them. We also just, I got a chance to talk a little bit with the family and just know that Jade was a beautiful young lady. She was the primary caregiver, really, for her family, like the backbone of her family. She's the one that got parents ready in the morning. Mom is a partial amputee in a wheelchair. She has other special needs in her home. At the young age of 6, she donated her bone marrow for one of her siblings who had leukemia. I mean, just a rock of a young lady for this family. So the life that's been lost is dear to all of us. While I was at the memorial site, some of the fathers of some of the children that were there asked me, what are we going to do about traffic right in front of the Pacific? And I do know that area has been studied a few years back. There are currently about 8 sidewalks between in front of Pacific area, really from Paris Hill to the other road that's on the other side of the light there. And the mayor and I have talked about this actually on Sunday, and we are convening a traffic and safety study of that area with all of the people involved to see what can we do. Can we put an additional stop sign or stoplight or speed bumps or other barriers? Those are the things we're looking into early next week. So I wanted to mention that, and I know President Medina had a few more comments.
So I do, before we do the moment of silence, I do want to mention, and on behalf of the whole board, we send the family prayers, not only to the families, but the community in itself, the schools, everyone that has been impacted by this wonderful person and their loss. So let's go ahead and give a moment of silence. Thank you so much for that. So as we call a meeting to order, I'm going to go ahead and do the gavel, which I didn't do earlier. And then 1.2, which is a Pledge of Allegiance of the flag. So if we can have this young gentleman that's in the front row, can you stand up and come to the podium and go ahead and say your name, say what school you're coming from, and then go ahead and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
My name is Riley Shipley. I'm with New Vision Middle School. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic to which it stands, one nation of God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great job.
Nice job, young man.
Yes. So we're going to move for the adoption of the agenda 1.3.
Second.
Any discussion? I know Dr. Marsden has something.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Staff would like to pull item 10.23, please.
Okay. Any other items? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 1.4, inspirational message from our very own Mr. Danny Tillman.
And I apologize, but I had someone who was going to perform and they got ill, so I don't have a.
That's okay. That's all right. And then I do want to mention that Mr. Gallo is not here with us He hasn't been feeling so well, so I just want to make sure that people, otherwise he would definitely be here. Now we will go ahead and go into closed session 1.5. Closed session public comments. So if we have any public comments for this?
No,
Any of
Madam
the items?
President, no public comments for the closed session.
Okay. We will now convene to closed session. We'll see you in a bit.
Stand by one moment. I'm getting blue cards
Do we
right
have-
now. Let's just affirm that there are none for closed session topics.
Okay.
Ms. Cunningham, are there any comments for closed session? Okay, thank
No.
you.
And we will be there, we will come out at, I believe it's 6, no later than 6:30. Okay?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Linda Bardier, and welcome to Hope News on the Hope News Network. Indian Springs High School is off to a great start. Their Back the Pack night was a fun-filled, informative night that attracted families, students, and district leaders to the campus for their unique twist on Back to School night. Teachers and staff came up with the idea for Back the Pack, and here's Principal Kristen Bykendova explaining what the school offered families and students during the event.
Hi, I'm Kristen Bykendova, the principal here at Indian Springs High School, and tonight we are at Back the Pack Night, and Back the Pack Night is replacing our old school Back to School Night. It is the brainchild of a group of our teachers who just wanted to get parents and the community here on the campus. So tonight what we have is in the quad, we have tables for our sports and our clubs, trying to encourage people to get involved. We have different groups performing this evening, our cheerleaders, our choir, our drumline. And over in our gym, each one of the teachers and their departments has a booth to encourage the parents to come, learn about their programs, and be involved in their kids' education. We're really excited about tonight, and I'm proud to be the principal at Indian Springs.
And less than a month later, the school held a ribbon cutting and grand opening celebration for the new Performing Arts Center on September 18th. Here's special correspondent Susie Lopez Polanco with the story.
Hello, my name is Susie Polanco, and welcome to the brand new Indian Springs Performing Arts Center. We are so excited to show this amazing facility to our community. So let's take a look inside and see what makes this theater so award-winning. Our brand new Performing Arts Center has been built on 18,000 square feet and seats 501 people. It has a modern orchestra pit, dressing rooms, a scene shop, a full-flight loft, an art gallery, and a state-of-the-art audio-visual control room. And that means our school can now expand visual and performing arts opportunities for students like me.
That was special correspondent Susie Lopez Polanco. In addition to the Indian Springs event, the district held a ribbon cutting for the temporary location of the Welcoming Resource Center located at 781 West 2nd Street in Suite A. The center is the main hub for family engagement and houses the district's English Learners Department, Enrollment and Placement Services, the Elementary Gate and Magnet Programs Office, and the Access to Learning for All Students, also known as ATLAS. ATLAS supports foster and homeless youth. Plans are underway to build a permanent center in the next 2 to 3 years. And while we're talking about the future, now is a good time to remind all of those high school students and their families that the application window for the California State University system is now open and will close on October 31st. The University of California system will begin accepting applications on November 1st. High school students from across the district had an opportunity to meet with representatives from 39 historically Black colleges and universities at this year's UCAN College Fair held at Cajon High School. Over 700 eager students attended the event, which has been hosted by San Bernardino City Schools for the last 5 years, and the event has traveled the country for the last 19 years. Thanks to a partnership with the district's own Department of Equity and Targeted Student Achievement and the United College Action Network, the event was a big success. Don't miss the upcoming Community Gathering for Excellence on Thursday, November 8th at the National Orange Show in the Orange Pavilion. Registration information is on the screen.
Don't miss the 2018 Community Gathering for Excellence. You'll hear how high schools are preparing students for college and career success. You'll learn about the latest innovations in the San Bernardino City Unified School District. You'll see how the San Bernardino City Unified School District is making hope happen. Registration is now open, so sign up quick. You can be part of this history-making event. Let's make hope happen.
Thanks again for watching Hope News. I'm Linda Bardier.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We are back from closed session. Thank you for being so patient. We're going to go ahead and come back towards, I have some readouts, so hold on one second. Let me get my class. The requester, special education director, approver, assistant superintendent, continuous improvement, SS-18-19-06. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves a settlement agreement number SS-18-19-06 in the amount of $10,400. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education authorizes Deborah Love, purchasing director, to sign any related documents.
So moved.
Any discussion? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. And this one is a Board of Education. Let me go ahead and read it out. Be it resolved that the Board of Education has determined that the following certificated employee be given notice prior to March 15, 2019, that he or she shall be released from assignment as a director effective at the end of 18-19 school year and reassigned to an assignment consistent with his or her credential authorizations effective at the beginning of 2019-2020 school year, and that the superintendent and his designee or his designee is hereby authorized to give written notice of the action pursuant to Education Code 44951, HR-CERT-18-19-01.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. And then the next one is, be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the appointment of the following employee: Lundi Howana, I hope I'm saying it right, Director of Special Education, SELPA, Special Education, effective date, work year, and salary to be determined, funding 802.
So moved.
Any discussion? Not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried, and congratulations to Ms. Is she here? Can you stand up, please? Congratulations. Who is a former principal for Thompson Elementary School, who has done a wonderful job there, and we're very blessed to have you. So thank you for joining us on this. Thank you. Congratulations. We're going to go ahead and move on and to reconvene from closed session. Action reported from, which I just did. 4.0, special presentation. 4.1, resolution in recognition of National Red Ribbon Week. Mr. Tillman, if you could read this. 4.1. And then Ms. Rogers, 4.2.
Resolution of National Red Ribbon Week. Whereas alcohol and drug abuse in the United States are at epidemic levels, and it is imperative that visible, unified prevention efforts be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs. And whereas the theme of this year's Red Ribbon Week is, quote unquote, life is your journey, travel drug free. And whereas government, parents, law enforcement, media, schools, service organizations, and youth will show a commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during Red Ribbon Week. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District hereby proclaims October 23rd through October 31st as Red Ribbon Week. and encourages students to participate in drug prevention activities not only during Red Ribbon Week, but all year, making a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free community. So moved.
We have a second. We have a first one, second. Any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? Okay, motion carried. Ms. Rogers?
Resolution to participate in California's Great Shakeout Earthquake Drill. Whereas the San Bernardino City Unified School District recognizes that no community is immune from natural or man-made hazards and recognizes the importance of training staff and students to withstand these hazards, and whereas the district knows the importance of reducing human impact, property damage, interruptions of educational services, and economic loss caused by those hazards, and whereas proper training of district employees will allow them to facilitate continuity of operations and assist our community following a major earthquake, and whereas by participating in the Great California Shakeout Earthquake Drill on October 18, 2018 at 10:18 a.m., the district has the opportunity to join millions of Californians in testing emergency response procedures, and whereas the San Bernardino City Unified School District encourages schools and families to use the information on www.shakeout.org California and www.sbcusd.com/ready SBCUSD to educate all its stakeholders regarding action to protect life and property. Therefore, be it resolved that the San Bernardino City Unified School District hereby directs district-wide participation in the Great California Shakeout Drill. So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Now let's go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried. We're going to go ahead and go to 5.0, public hearing. 5.1, IE Empire Academy, formerly Excel Prep Academy, charter renewal petition. So I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Are there any public comments?
Yes, Madam President, we have a few comments on this topic. The board welcomes, and we'll let you organize yourselves to speak succinctly. Mickey Yates, Kanan Walker, Nellie Herrera, Aracel Calderon, Gregory Walker. I think we have two from Mr. Walker. Teresa Tompkins, Lonnie Yansrek, Alex Ocero, Amanda Norige, Mickey Yates, and Veronica Size all have listed to want to speak on this topic. So if you could please organize yourselves, welcome. And just please, if you wouldn't mind, state your name for the board.
These microphones, I'm kind of, is this the right one? Or?
You're right on. We can hear you loud and clear. Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, the PowerPoint, will that come up? Okay, thank you so much. Let's back a little bit. This thing's like. So good evening, President Medina, other board members, Superintendent Marsden, and Mr. Tikel back there somewhere. Good evening. My name's Lonnie Yansrek. I'm the Chief Business Officer for Real Journey Academies and the lead petitioner for iEmpire Academy. I want to start by thanking all of you for everything that you do for the families and the students of San Bernardino. And specifically, I want to thank you for your support of Real Journey of Academies as we enter our 10th year of operation. It's been almost a decade. Good relationships between charter organizations and school districts isn't always the norm, so we really feel fortunate to have that relationship with the school district, so thank you very much for that. So in our brief presentation tonight, we're going to cover 4 areas. The first one is just a quick overview of the petition, the charter petition, and what's in that petition. A brief history of our organization, the past, present, and future of iEmpire Academy, and then finally we'll just hear from one of our parents. First, we'll just take a quick look at the petition. The first thing I want to mention is we are requesting a name change this time around, and we're currently operating as Excel Charter, and we are requesting a name change to iEmpire Academy. And when we took over the school 5 years ago, just before the petition was renewed, We thought changing the name would have caused a lot of confusion among families with all the changes happening, so we just held with Excel at that time. And now we think for this renewal that it's the perfect time to ask for a name change to something kind of a fresh new name. And we think that I Empire is symbolic of the commitment that we have to not just San Bernardino, but to the Inland Empire. So we are requesting a name change to I Empire. Other than that, just real quick about the petition, we of course highlight academic, operational, and cultural successes over the past 5 years. We discuss our goals and we take a look forward. We detail the academic program, including numerous improvements that we have in the works right now, even this year before our request of renewal. And then we of course include updates to the prior petition based on education code changes. So that's kind of just some highlights of some of the things that we do in the petition. And right now, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Alex Lucero. Alex is our co-founder and Chief Executive Officer of Real Journey Academy. So, Alex?
Good evening, Board President Medina, board members, and Superintendent Marsden.
Good evening.
5 years ago, when we came to you about taking over Excel Prep, we wanted to ensure you that it would become financially solvent and we would be able to produce an operational sound charter school. We have done that. In fact, last Friday, the U.S. Department of Ed announced their awardees for the Approaches to Innovation Literacy Grants, and we were just awarded $1.7 million over a 3-year period. Today, we come to you just for you to continue putting the trust in us. Now we'd like to show you a quick video. Is this right?
Because we are all elementary school, we no longer have to share a campus with middle school students, and that just allows us to build more community. We're focusing on making sure that our students have this positive learning environment.
I like this school because it has like a really great atmosphere. Everyone's all nice.
What I like is about the teachers and how kind they are.
So we're also doing a lot of hands-on learning in both the math classrooms and the science classrooms to ensure that the students are getting all the conceptual knowledge that they need in those subjects.
We do a lot of fun activities because our teacher focus more on trying to get us to learn the concept in a fun way.
Since we're in elementary school, our focus is literacy. We want to make sure that those foundational skills are set with our students, and we really want to focus on building that community with our students. And so we've established a house system. Every single student, every single staff member, every single teacher belongs to a house, and they compete against the other houses. And so every time that we have an event, they get points for attending the event, like back to school night or a family night.
Everyone has like that spirit of competition against the other houses, but there's still that spirit of like kindness.
Every house has a value that they focus on, like for example, responsibility.
Our word is commitment, and commitment means to never give up.
They have a cheer.
Green Eagles, watch us soar, social justice, we need more.
They work on service learning projects together. We have 5th graders working with 3rd graders, and they feel like they're a part of that community. We want our students to be successful citizens that go on to do whatever they feel that they want to do in the future.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amanda Noriega, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the past, the present, and the future. We have many of our accomplishments included in the charter renewal that we submitted to you, but I just want to highlight a couple of them. For example, our suspension rate indicator moved from yellow to green in the 2017 fall dashboard. We have a team of tutors from the universities and colleges in the surrounding area that work with our students on a daily basis, specifically in language arts and math. And then we've had improvements in and showed growth. Our students who've met or exceeded standard increased in language arts for both 3rd and 5th grade. And our 5th grade students also increased in math. We've had a dramatic increase in reclassification rates of our English language learners. According to the fall 2017 dashboard, the percentage of English language learners who progressed rose from 54.5% to 62%. And then also from 2016 to 2018, so those 2 years, our reclassification rates for our FIP students went from 16 to 41. What we did is really looked into making sure that we saw what the students needed to be reclassified to get to that next level, and that's what we focused our English language development on that for them. And with this, presently, what we're doing right now is we've added additional leadership and support to the elementary school, as I am there as their executive director. We've also implemented the house system that we talked a little bit about in the video. And it's just wonderful now that we have an all elementary campus and we're not there with the middle school, that we could really focus and grow as an elementary school. We're focusing our professional learning communities with our teachers on those 4 essential PLC questions and what we expect our students to learn, how we know they're learning those standards. We've implemented NWEA to ensure that we have more focused interventions. How will we respond when they don't learn? So with those focused interventions and our new literacy system, we're using Fountas and Penel, we could really hone in and help students achieve the next level. And now I'd like to pass it over to one of our parents. If you could come up, Mr. Walker. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Walker, and I am CEO and co-founder of Great Harvest Community Center. We started a partnership with iEmpire 2 years ago. One of the programs that we share with them is the food drive collaboration with Community Action Partnership, giving out over 150 Thanksgiving meals for families this past Thanksgiving, and we look forward to doing it again this year. We also have in line to work with the USDA program for Community Action Partnership of San Bernardino County on an ongoing recurring schedule as part of our partnership. And then we also offer a series called Ignite, which is by Great Harvest Community Center. We offer digital literacy to the parents there for workshops, resume writing, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and we offer life coaching classes and workshops on internet safety, cyberbullying, and job research skills. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your comments. Much appreciated. All right. With that, board, any comments or questions or? Okay.
Okay,
Very good.
so we're done.
Do we have any of the students here that were in the presentation, in the video? Can they stand?
He's the star of the show. Well, all right.
Hello, my name is Kanan Walker and I go to Excel Prep Elementary. This is my second year at Excel Prep, and since the first day I arrived at the school, it has felt like a home. A lot of my friends and classmates feel like family. I think it is important to state that even though we come to school to learn, Excel Prep has made a way to make it not only a good learning environment, but also a fun and safe place for me to be myself. They accept me for who I am, and I appreciate them for that. Not all places accept you. Excel Prep does, and they help us grow in every area of our life, and I'd also like to thank you for your time.
Nice job, young man.
Hi, my name is Nayeli Rosario Herrera, and I go to Excel Prep Elementary School, and I am a 4th grader. I have been there since 1st grade. At Excel Prep, I have had many great memories, including some from field trips, the after-school program, and our annual family barbecues. In my class this year, I have learned how to use Google Classroom, and I like using Google Slides to make presentations and projects. In my past years, I have learned about our school 10 core values by doing projects about them. One of my favorite things about our school is our student-led conferences because I get to show what I have been learning to my parents. I love Excel Prep Elementary School, and I think it is a great school to go to because we students feel like we are cared for and are happy to attend school every day. I hope to finish my elementary education at I Empire Academy and move on to a great middle school, and thank you.
That's great. Good job, young lady. Very well spoken. Still have a couple more comments? Fantastic. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, good evening.
My name is Araceli Calderon. Have my daughter in first grade. It's her second year there. What I like about the campus is I feel it's a secure campus. It has a positive environment, welcoming. Every time when I drop her off, I just feel the warmth, like a home. Another thing I like about the campus is that there's different activities throughout the year to get the parents involved with the students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Veronica Saiz. I have 4 school-age students who have gone through these schools. My son, who is now a senior at San Gregorio High School, started with New Vision Middle School when he was in 7th grade. Aside from the staff just being awesome, the faculty, the teachers, it is really a warm feeling. I love the fact that it's personable. Every time I come in, I can walk into the office at any given time of day, and they greet me by my first name. That is amazing. It makes me feel like not only my kids are welcome there, but I as a parent also. They are very committed to their education. I probably get on the teachers' nerves because we are constantly in communication, whether it be through email, I get phone calls, very committed to their education. My son, like I said, started there in middle school for New Vision Middle School. My daughter, Layla, she also attended there. I believe she started there in 5th grade, I believe. 5th grade. My daughter, Suhei, started there when she was in 1st grade. My son now is attending as a kindergartner. So I would love for them to continue on. Like I said, it's not just a school, we are a family. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we may have an additional comment here from Mikulai Griffin. Miss Griffin, or no, another? Go ahead. You're welcome. Please, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to read the other name as well.
I'm sorry. I'm Mickey Yakes. I'm a community activist, an educator, and a parent. Kaden is my baby. I chose I Empire because I trust them with my most valuable assets in life, my kids. And I had the honor of sitting on PAC last year, and to know that every meeting the principal made no hesitation to attend. That was big for me. So I stand behind them because I have a child that's IEP. And for the longest time, I had to push them the vision of school. And it was hard for me because I'm a master's degree. And to have my child come at me and say, I'm excited about going to school. I can't wait to go to school. And I hold in my hand the proof, the evidence that this worked. And she's an AB student from not wanting to go to school at all. So I draw the sword for them. I ride for them. I wouldn't have it no other way. That's why I chose I Empire.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Wonderful. I want to make sure we heard from everybody that had put in a public comment card on this topic. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Appreciate your comments tonight. And with that, the board has heard all public comments on this hearing for this renewal.
Okay. So I'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this particular one and reopen again on 5.2, New Vision Middle School Charter Renewal Petition. And let's go ahead. Are there any public comments?
Yes, Madam President, we do have a few comments as well for the renewal of New Vision. Board welcomes Faith. I'm going to try your last name, Lily. Samaria Flores, Denshe Green, and Anija, it's hard to read, I apologize, Stephanie Alvers, Then I think, Lonnie, Alex, Kevin, and Stephanie, and Guadalupe Mora, Miss Mora. So if you could please organize yourselves to speak to the board, you're welcome. Welcome and good evening.
Yeah, good evening again. Hope you're doing well since the last time we talked. So, let's get that up. Okay. So the first 5 minutes is about the same as the last presentation, so we'll kind of cut through a lot of the history and everything. So basically, I'm just going to pass it on. We really don't have anything new in the intro section, so I'll just pass it to Alex and see if he has anything new on the New Vision side.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
New Vision Middle School continues to have a strong partnership and collaboration with San Bernardino City Unified School District. We are very proud to be called an authorized charter of San Bernardino City Unified School District. What makes this a good relationship is that both agencies are always working together and putting students first, which provides great results. New Vision was founded as a community-based charter school with the belief of being an innovative school with engaging and relevant curriculum that encourages and motivates students to come to school more, to achieve to their potential, as well as provide a safe and welcoming environment where every student can and will succeed. We are 10 years San Bernardino strong. Now, just gonna play a brief video.
What attracted me to taking the position here at New Vision Middle School was the instructional approach, where you're blending classic learning approaches with progressive. And by that I mean is where kids learn to master fundamental content skills. And then on the progressive side, they look to apply their learning to a student-centered approach.
Activities. We do a lot in the classes, a lot of fun things that are still academic, so I really enjoy those things.
Secondly, where they apply their learning to contemporary and historical social issues, looking at how you can benefit society with what you learn. And the third one is looking at how students, the learning increases the students' purpose, identifies their purpose, their destiny in life.
There's different types of clubs that you can join: creative writing, debate, or another one. This other club got to meet the mayor. In my club, I'm in debate.
A lot of the things we learn are sometimes difficult, but challenging.
And a lot of the teachers here are helpful with their classes.
And the application is key because when you mix in technology, having web-based learning platforms, students being able to communicate with other students.
It's different from other schools because the teachers are different and the standards we learn are very different, a little harder.
So it's a dynamic way of approaching learning at what we do.
And I just want to introduce you our principal.
Good to hear that familiar voice.
Thanks, Dr. Mars, and President Maldonado and board members. Welcome. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mr. Goodley.
You know, I know you've seen the video that we have as an introduction, and you have our past, our present, and our future. Some of the tenets that we highlights that we put on it. I think it's important with the speakers, with the children that'll come up, and the parents as well as myself, to really highlight what New Vision really stands for, looking at this time for this charter renewal. And incumbent in the namesake New Vision, we are looking at a new approach, and that is looking at an educational philosophy that's new, theory of action, instructional practices, instructional focus as well. But the goal of it is to stay in many ways true to the charter. And the charter, when we maintained New Vision, we really focused on what was a student-centered approach, meaning that our whole focus was to increase the interest and the motivations of students in learning. Provide for students the understanding that they have skills, they have the ability to be a participant in their learning and design their learning. We also felt too that it's important for students to understand their role in this society and what they essentially are saying with the focus of their learning, what they learn at school, the skills and the knowledge and the concepts, is to be able to apply it, to look at historical and contemporary social issues for the purpose of improving them, for the purpose to making change for the better. And then thirdly, we wanted to look at what, is commonly termed on the social emotional issues, where we felt it was a sense of our students, very important for them to understand that they have a stake in learning not just creativity and innovation, but also this concept of compassion, of empathy, of patience and fortitude, of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control. These are some of the key characteristics that we want to develop our students so that as they are going to New Vision and as they ultimately graduate from New Vision and transition to the high school level, they understand those three things, that they have a passion and interest in their learning, they have an understanding of their destiny, their purpose in this life, that they're valued, they're worth a tremendous amount, and that they have an understanding that they have an active role in shaping the society that we want them to inherit from us as adults. So New Vision for us is, like I said, in its namesake, it's new. It's a way of reapproaching the original ideas of New Vision in a manner that's contemporary, but also fun and exciting and meaningful for both the students, the staff, and the parents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodley.
All right, thank you so much.
And with that, we can transition actually to our parents and students. I'm not to be biased, but I'm always going to ask for the students, first. Faith, can you come up, please? Thank you, Faith.
Hello, my name is Faith Lily. I've been in this school since 6th grade, and even since 6th grade, this school has really inspired me to be who I am. I always come to school saying I don't want to be here, when I actually do want to come to school. This school has loved me as a student and as a family. I treat them like a family too. That is why I'm here today. These teachers expect a lot from me, but at least they get their job done. I just wanted to say that these years I've been here has been the best 3 years of my life. Thank you.
Nicely done, Faith.
Yeah. You practiced all week.
Hello, my name is Anaya Jones, and I have been enrolled within New Journey's educational system since I was in 2nd grade. I am now in 6th grade. Over the time I attended elementary school and began middle school, I have had the pleasure of being taught by great teachers who have a lot of knowledge about many different subjects and who are also kind and strong in what they do. I noticed that our teachers and others, including our principals, counselors really care. It is because of them that I have learned as much as I have. I am looking forward to continuing my education with New Vision and beyond. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Anaya. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you, Anaya. Appreciate it. Well done. There we go. Samara, can you come up, please?
Good evening. My name is Samara Flores, and I have been a student at Real Journey Academies for over 3 years. Over the course of my attendance, we have many great experiences, including but not limited to activities that inspire our creativity, such as talent shows, activities that encourage togetherness, such as family nights, and activities that require educational growth, such as meetings with tutors and teachers who have and do push us. We have also done things such as participated in student council meetings and learned the importance of voting. Thank you for everything in Real Journey Academies, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
Thank you. And our last presenters were parents. Well, it's your time. Thank you.
Good evening, all who are in attendance. Good evening. Oh, thank you. Good evening, all who are in attendance. My name is Shay. I'm actually Anaya's mother.
Oh, fantastic.
So I'm going to read from this little sheet of paper, but I'm also going to make additional statements. I am the parent of a student who has been a recipient of the quality education that Real Journey Academies has been providing for a number of years. I would first like to say that as someone who highly values education, Real Journey elementary and intermediate educators are exceptional. My child has consistently learned the value of hard work, not only at home, but also within this educational institution. The educators, incite critical thinking, encourage positive interpersonal interactions, and assist in fostering responsibility in all of their behaviors. This is something that I find to be significant. When I was growing up, I attended school in very different environments. One was LAUSD, and I know most people are familiar with that, but I also went to school in Etowanda. So I have an idea of what good quality education looks like, and I will just say that the teachers are communicative and the administrators are extremely professional. The students, you can tell that they are strongly engaged. They learn a lot, and I can see that just in their behaviors. Many of these students I have seen come from, the elementary going into New Vision, and the growth has been phenomenal. So I would just like to say that I absolutely encourage the continuance of the school, and I stand for the renewal. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie Albers. I'm mother of Riley Shipley, and he is currently in 6th grade. And I'd like to thank you all for the support that you have given us, or that New Vision and Real Journeys has given us. Riley has been an attendee of Real Journey since 2nd grade. And I had another son that was attendee for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Now he's moved on to Pacific High School. And I would like to say, the counselors, the teachers, and everything at New Vision and Real Journeys has been a big part of our lives. My oldest son was diagnosed with cancer last year, brain cancer, and everybody from New Vision and Real Academy just came together and support us and supported my son because he was having a very hard time dealing with his brother having brain cancer. And then with me having cancer as well, since 2014, the counselors and everything have come together and had pulled him out of class when he was having a hard day, and just talked to him and made sure that he was okay on a daily basis, and I am so blessed for that. I am so blessed for my children to have gone there and are still attending New Vision, and I am blessed to say that he will be continuing until he graduates from the high school up there. And just thank you for your time and listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making the time tonight to speak to the board.
I have a question for the
Thank you,
parent
everyone.
that mentioned that her son was in Pacific.
Yep.
Okay. How is he doing?
He's doing okay. He's in remission, and he's growing. He was on
Okay. Can you come to the mic?
Can you come
so
up
we-
to the
Yes,
microphone? I'm sorry, just so the public could hear you as well.
My son is doing great. He just recently went back to school. All last year he was on home and hospital, and he is exceeding. He's not having too much of a hard time, but he's having a hard time getting back into things,
Okay.
due to all the, he went through severe or really hard chemo and radiation. And
Okay.
so we're just easing back into this
Okay.
with him, but he is striving to do
All
better.
right. Thank you for sharing
Great.
that.
No problem.
Fantastic. Glad you're having great success. That's good news. Wonderful. Thank you very much. We appreciate the comments. Those are all the closed comments on this portion of the agenda.
All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to close. We're not voting on any of these two items. So public hearing is closed. 6.0, student board members' comments, and we do have present Gregory Wilder, and Casimir Middleton. So if we can start with Gregory, since we haven't seen you since the first day. So come on. You can give your public comments.
Good evening.
I mean, your board comments.
My name is Greg Weidler. I am a student at Pacific High School, and I thought that since this is my first meeting, I would just take this time to introduce myself. I've taken AP and honors classes all 4 years. I've been a 4-year graphic design student, and I'm actually on the District Advisory Council as well, which consists of 80 students from across all the high schools. And I am very proud to have been admitted as a student board member. Only 4 are selected, and out of the 80, I'm very happy to be one of them. The board may remember last year I presented with Isabel Cholby. I am part of the Campus Involvement Committee during the District Advisory Council, whose goal is to increase student voice, to increase student morale on campus and get more voice, because students spend 7 hours a day at school every day of the week, every weekday. And our campus involvement group started with just 3 members off the council, and now we have raised it to 18. And I'm actually in charge of the pilot program at Pacific High School, and I hope that I will soon see that program implemented at all the high schools across the district. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Weather.
Thank you for
Appreciate
sharing.
your leadership.
Thank you. Ms. Middleton?
Ooh, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Casimir Middleton. For the ones who don't know, I go to San Gregorio High School. We previously had our JAG initiation and installation ceremony, and Dr. Marsden was there, and he left. Well, Mr. Wiseman, he was there too. And we had our homecoming game, which we won to a Royal, 42-20. It was a great game. And I'm just excited for the rest of my senior year, and excited to be on the board with Mr. Gregory over there. That's it.
All right.
Thank
you for
Ms.
sharing.
Middleton.
Okay, great. So now we're going to go ahead and move to public comments. This is a time during the board during the agenda when the Board of Education is prepared to receive comments from members of the public on any matter within its subject matter jurisdiction. So when recognized, if you can step forward to the podium, give your name, and limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. For public comments by 6 or more individuals on any one topic, the time limit is 30 minutes. So please monitor your time, just so you know the computer behind us. To your right, is it to your right? Yes, to your right, to your left. Just like the song. So then you go. You then just monitor your time. Dr. Marsden?
You bet. Thank you, Madam President. We do have a few public comments tonight. The board welcomes Ms. Devonna Robertson. The topic is our Welcoming Resource Center. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. Mrs. Nettles is going to join me.
Oh, great. All right.
So, again, I'm Devonna Robertson.
Good evening, Lilia Cisneros Felix.
And we want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to talk to you this evening. So on Thursday, September the 25th, a ribbon cutting ceremony took place at our new Welcoming Resource Center for the district. General thank yous were given, but I felt that that was not enough. And so I called Mrs. Nettles and I said, please give me the names of the parents that were committed and involved from the beginning to the end. And so she said, I guess great minds think alike, because I planned on going to the board to thank the parents that she knows personally herself. So with that being said, I would like to thank Ms. Sharon Cedradine, a parent, Mia Cooper, a parent, Sonia Gray Hahn, parent, Tasha Cornish, parent, Nisha Singer, parent, Stephanie Cogden, community member. And then there's a pastor that was there. I do not know that brother's name, but he wears glasses, African-American man. Pastor Mack, thank
That's
you.
right,
I want to
Pastor
thank
Mack.
Pastor Mack.
That's right.
And the reason why I think it's important to recognize these parents and our community member is because, number one, they don't do the work to get recognition, but that does not mean that they're not worthy of a public thank you. So I wanted to say their names because they would not ask to be recognized. I want to say their names because this item was brought to them. I think it started 3 years prior to us joining the process in 2017, and they were committed to stay the course. So they even said if the other parent groups decide they don't want to move forward, we are going to continue to be a part of the process. I want to say their names because even when it was uncomfortable and we didn't all agree, they still were committed to the process. I wanted to thank them by name because even in the end, when we did the confidence line and we were all mixed up and everybody had their different opinion on why we should, shouldn't, or whatever, they still came back to the next meeting. So I wanted to thank them by name. I also wanted to thank Ms. Cisneros for joining me and Dr. Menares and I think Dr. Volkamore at points, as well as the facilities gentleman and Aldo for 7:30 meetings before we both had to go off to our jobs. I want to thank her for meeting me at Denny's in the evening to discuss things. I want to thank her for being a part of the process. And I know there's been tension at the end of some of these meetings, so much so that there's been times where we've left and not spoken to each other, but we've remained respectful, and we're committed to staying at the table for this process through the permanent location. And then lastly, I want to thank Dr. Menares for being consistent, and staying true to who you are. I appreciate that. And I felt like Tuesday the 25th, I felt like you pushed through the back of the crowd. I don't know where you were standing, but you said before you take a picture and cut the ribbon, please bring every parent that was a part of the process up here to be in the picture. And then she was just like, bring all the parents. I don't care if you're here to sign, drop off the paperwork, just get all the parents in the picture, right?
That's right.
So I thank you, Dr. Menares. And then here's Ms. Cisneros.
Thank you, Ms. Devona. As Ms. Devona said, we spoke on the phone, we agreed, and since the grand opening, we both started thinking, I guess, the same thing. And as many of you know, this process began about 5 years ago. It all began with the past committee before the one I just ended. Mrs. Alva and Mrs. Ochoa, they are the warriors that began that battle. When I started my 2 years as the DLEC president, started the battle myself, took over the battle. And truly, I agree with Devona, truly want to thank Dr. Menares because she had extremely the enormous patience to she took up on something that she was not aware of. We came just aggressive, and which we apologize on behalf of DLEC. But we just felt that we were speaking and we were not being heard. And so, of course, like typical mothers, as we say in Spanish, no busco quien me la haga, sino quien me la pague, right? And I'm not trying to find who did it, but who's going to pay for the consequences. And unfortunately,
Time.
I'm sorry.
Please finish. Please finish.
And so, thank you so much, Dr. Menares, for not only listening to us, but for hearing what the parents had to say, for taking the time, 7:30 in the morning appointments, Dr. Volkammer as well. Thank you, board members, for hearing us out as well, because we ended up finding out that at one point you did not even know, were not even aware about the enrollment center. Thank you very much, Mr. Tillman, for the support that you provided to all of us, the parents. Thank you very much, Dr. Flores, for coming and taking the tour with us, with those portables that they were trying to assign us to. And so that's where the battle began. We were not trying to be stubborn or asking for something that our kids did not deserve. They deserve that and more. And of course, our parents do as well. So I also want to thank our DLAC parents. There were many, many parents that were part of those meetings. As Devona said, they at times there was friction. People wanted one thing, other people didn't want certain things. We just agreed we are going to be asking for what our students need and what our parents need. So we've stayed respectful to each other, and we've found out that working together, teaming up, is what makes things come a reality. And so this is our first step. We are looking forward to our permanent location, and we are very excited to maybe we're not going to be around anymore, but at one point. So I just truly feel that the main people that started this whole adventure, Mrs. Salva and Ms. Ochoa, even though they're part of the community, they're still involved parents in our district. They are the main ones that started this whole ordeal, and it was our turn to come to a closing. So we were honored to have concluded that. And of course, we couldn't have done it without the assistance and advice also of the EL department. Mrs. Applegate, she was always there standing by us and saying, you guys, ladies, do what you need to do. I can't tell you what to do, but, EL department it has your back. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Congratulations to all of them for their great work. Fantastic. Thank you so much. The board welcomes Trayvon Martin, CSBA.
Good evening, President Medina, Vice President Rogers, board members, Superintendent Marsden, cabinet, community. My name is Trayvon Martin. I'm the Public Affairs and Community Engagement Representative for the California School Boards Association. So I haven't been in front of you guys in a while, so have some updates for you guys this evening. First off, I would like to thank those who attended yesterday's regional meet and greet. It was really nice. We had 26 school board members, 2 superintendents, and 1 city official in the room representing over 12 districts. And I would like to personally thank Ginger Ontiveros for presenting around the district's career pathways. It was amazing. The other districts were all excited about what San Bernardino was doing, and they actually tried to give Ginger more work by asking her to go on a roadshow around the county and help other school districts achieve the same thing with their career pathways. So that's a tribute to your leadership board, the leadership of Dr. Mitchell and the leadership of Pam Kim Thornton. So thank you for that. You're already aware now that SB 328, Portantino's late start bill, was vetoed by the governor. So thank you for receiving all my emails, phone calls, and text messages to call the governor and write the governor a letter. This is what the governor said. To the members of the California State Senate, I am returning Senate Bill 328 without my signature. This bill would prohibit middle school and high schools from starting earlier than 8:30 in the morning unless in a rural area. This is a one-size-fits-all approach that is opposed by teachers and school boards. Several schools have already moved to late start and others prefer beginning school in the morning. These types of decisions are best left up to the local authority of the community. So we will continue to fight this issue next year. Portantino already put out a statement that he will reintroduce the bill next year during the next legislative session. So the fight for late start continues. Again, CSBA does not oppose late start. We oppose the mandate that all schools, middle school and high schools, have to start later than 8:30. You as board members can make the decision for yourself at the dais at any time. You don't need the state to tell you. AB 1951, known as the Career Pathway Act. This act would allow 11th graders to take the SAT or the ACT in place of the Smarter Balance test, the summative assessment that 11th graders take. The governor did veto that bill as well. That was a bill that was co-sponsored by CSBA. The governor stated that that K-12 systems and universities and colleges are working to use the 11th grade assessment as college entry instead of relying solely on the SAT or CAT. Another update is AB 2772. This is the ethnic studies bill. As you would recall, CSBA opposed this bill because it was a mandate that all districts require ethnic studies as a graduation requirement. However, they took out the unfunded mandate and said, well, if districts would do it, we would pay districts, we would give districts some money to hire a teacher for a year-long or a semester-long course. The governor did veto that bill, and he stated that there are already districts who are doing it. He stated that he would not impose another graduation requirement on students. Students are already overburdened by multiple testing and endless hours of homework. Another bill, AB 2514, this is Thurman's bill, which was signed by the governor. It establishes the Pathway to Success grant program. That the grant program is the purpose of giving money to districts to establish or expand existing dual emergent programs. So your district is a prime district that can receive those dollars to either create another dual emergent program or expand the existing ones. Lastly, you might be aware that Assembly Bill 746 was signed by the governor a few years ago, and it took effect January 1st, requiring all districts to test K-12 sites that were built prior to 2010. The state is offering to reimburse the districts, so essentially this year it's free. Next year it would be required in July of 2019 that the districts report that. So about 1,000 school districts have utilized the reimbursement program from the state and got their water tested now. So if you haven't done so, we would encourage you to take advantage of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Always good to see you.
Mr. Martin, just one second. I missed the part about the testing of water. What was that?
Yeah, so AB 746 requires all schools that were built prior to 2010 to test the water for lead poisoning, and that the state water board has a website for the community to go on, and they'll be able to see what schools in their district have tested the water and what level of lead is in that water. And so I'm not gonna name the district, but there was another district locally here who tested the water of one school, and it came back high for lead, and they retested the water and it came back negative. However, the community saw that the reporting on the state's website was the water was contaminated, and so they mobilized at the district office not knowing that the retest showed that the water was at acceptable levels. So I do know the state is very slow. I spoke to them. They're only updating their website every quarter, which we would like them to update it monthly. I did check, and I saw maybe 5 or 6 San Bernardino schools already reported, so I'm not sure if there are more that were reported and then it's just not updated, but I wanted to put that on your radar to, receive those dollars back from the state.
And I understand all our schools are being tested.
That's my next question. Thank you very much.
Perfect,
And
thank
it's
you.
being paid for, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Board welcomes Dr. Bobby Chappell. Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. You maybe pull that down. There you go. It'll pick your voice up for our public that's listening.
Okay. Hello. My name is Dr. Bobby Chappell. I came to San Bernardino in 1971. I came with my son, my teenage son. We didn't know anybody. I was a single mom, and I had been inquiring about a place where my son and I could volunteer our services in the community. I met two wonderful women. Their names were Frances Grice, she's passed on now, and Margaret Joyner. She's remarried now, and I think her name is Margaret Hill now. I will never forget those women as long as I live. They introduced me to the community and allowed me to expose and sell my artwork at Operation Second Chance. They would set up art shows for me. They thought that I would be a great asset to the San Bernardino School District. So they told me about a program that was called the Career Opportunities Program under the direction of Mrs. Juanita Harris. I met with Ms. Harris and Dr. Bargeman, and I told them my story of why I left an abusive situation in San Francisco. So I signed up for the COP program and was accepted. At the time, San Bernardino was under court order to train and hire minority teachers. And teaching jobs were promised to anybody who finished that program. So I finished Valley College and Cal State. I was hired as a teacher. I worked for 32 years in the district. I earned my master's degrees from Azusa Pacific and my doctorate from California Coast University. And as I look over my life, I have a sense of gratitude, and I desire to give back to this district because this district has made me the woman that I am today. 32 years in the district. I started out as a classroom aide and got my doctorate degree. I have 2 doctorate degrees. So I am really a product of this district. That's what I feel. And that's why I desire to be of assistance. I'm married to a wonderful man, Dr. Arvell Chappelle Jr., who's a retired firefighter and paramedic. He helped me start a school in 1992. Our school is 25 years old. It is the first certified school of metaphysics in the state of California. Dr. Chappelle is a retired firefighter from LA County Fire Department. He is also one of the first, the first paramedics. My husband and I have been working with families, and we have seen many positive changes in their relationships. For example, we've seen improvement in adults and children, husbands and wives, visible appreciation and respect for each other. We have completed 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of the FLI facilitator trainings with Consuela Kickbush. We now would like to offer our service with our combined professional experiences and expertise in working with families in the San Bernardino district. We can work with all families, but we noticed that the African American families were underrepresented at the FLI meetings. But because we live in this area, we can conduct weekly, ongoing sessions to solve that problem. I would like for my husband, Dr. Arvell Chappelle, to pass out some information to you. And if there are any questions, there's a number you can reach us.
Thank you very much, and we will take those papers that you have to pass out. Dr. Wiseman will certainly pass them down the row. Thank you so much for your comments tonight.
And then Dr. Flores, you had a question?
Yes, Dr. Chappelle, question. Could you clarify exactly what kind of family development you would engage in?
We have now for several years been working with parents in regards to their decision-making processes. And so what we have observed is that those who participate in our program have gained an appreciation for one another in their personal relationships. We also address other areas of their lives, such as finance, as well as their professional and educational endeavors and their physical well-being. So that is the package in which our program is presented in such a way that growth occurs just from examining where they are and then clearly defining where it is they want to go.
Dr. Marsden, where would they direct their services or proposal to?
Oh, well, they've done that with the board tonight, and then staff will take this information and look at that, and then we'll certainly reach back out to the Chappelles.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Right,
Thank you. Next.
Those are all the public comments tonight.
Okay, great.
Madam President.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and move along to 8.0, student achievement, 8.1, overview of the state's accountability model. Dr. Marsden?
Thank you very much, Madam President. And tonight, board and public, this is part one of a two-part presentation. As you know, our state has gone to a new accountability model. Board, they're shifting from a blame and punish model to a build capacity model. And in this approach, they've made several attempts to craft a way to look at student data that's parent-friendly, that's different from the old methodology before. And so you're going to hear an overview of that. And as you hear the overview, I also want you to know that Ms. Ashley Bettis-Alcala, our SBTA president, myself, Dr. Mitchell, recently joined a CTA presentation with the California Council on Educational Excellence, the new state arm for oversight of our state's accountability model. And the leadership from that team shared with us that the model is actually potentially changing. So board, what you're seeing tonight is complex. When we go through phase one or part one tonight, the real purpose is to orient you not only to overall district data, but to orient you and the public to this new accountability model, keeping in mind they're going through a process that may change what you see even now. So this is an emerging and growing kind of practice. As you know, LCAP, when it got off the ground, it took a few years to refine and solidify. It's still going through that similar process to refine continuous improvement. And so is this methodology. And so tonight, Dr. Mitchell and team will give you an overview. Again, this is part one to orient you to the new state accountability testing model, and part two will dive deep into some of our own data. So with that, Dr. Mitchell and team, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Marsden. Thank you for the tee-up. So Board President Medina, board members, superintendent, and cabinet, tonight we have prepared a presentation on one of our KPIs, or our key performance indicators, the California Assessment of Student Progress and Performance, otherwise known as CASP. I will be co-presenting with Barbara Richardson, our Director of Accountability and Educational Technology. I would like to thank her in advance for her and our staff's hard work as she has put the work that she has put in with me personally and our cabinet team to understand and interpret the state's new accountability system. Later in the presentation, the board will hear from three of our principals who have led their school teams in stellar outcomes for students. They are Keisha Handy, principal at Cole Elementary, Miriam Hargy, principal at Martin Luther King Middle School, and Randy Clyde, principal at Rodriguez Prep Academy. Next slide. So board, tonight we have two objectives, and so I want to reinforce what Dr. Marsden opened up with. One, tonight is just to build the board's understanding and interpretation of the California school accountability system. It's far different than what we've seen in the past with CSTs and the 97 standards as well. Secondly, is to share the 2018 status and change projected outcomes. We say projected because the 17-18 data is not available through data question to the CDE until December. So what Barbara's office has done is given us projections. She's always been pretty spot on, and so we're confident that her projections are accurate. We've gotten preliminary data, and so they're grounded in some preliminary data, and of course, the state takes a while to clean that data and give us official data, which we expect to get in the next coming months. So given the complexity of our new accountability system, we thought it prudent to divide the CAS presentation over 2 meetings. Tonight, the board will be familiarized with the accountability system, as well as look at only school-level data. On October 16th, we will review the accountability model again, because we want to keep putting it in front of you so that we all become more familiar with the model, and then dive deeper into student group data. So tonight you won't see student groups. We felt like, in fact, we put the presentation together originally with an instructive piece for you all, as well as our school level data, as well as our student level data, and that would take us a whole afternoon. And so we wanted to break those pieces up for you tonight. 2 notes. Because of the change of the October 16th board KPI schedule, we have changed our upcoming board presentation schedule. So what I put here for your information board, what you'll see in the blue chart there is our list of our KPI presentations. What we've done is taking the presentations that the board has prioritized through our key performance indicators, and we've looked at when we get those data sets and when they're official, and we've spread them throughout the year so that the board, so that we're able to go deeper on particular areas of our achievement. And so originally October 16th, we had planned, as Dr. Monares had told you through a BC, to cover the TSSP update. But because we've chosen to cover CAS over 2 meetings, we're going to make some adjustments to that KPI presentation or flow and bring it back to you October 16th with an updated schedule of our presentations. But you'll see there in November we'll do graduation data, January we'll do LP data, English Learner Progress Indicator data, and so on and so forth. So just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. Also, just to, Dr. Flores.
Madam President, I just want a clarification.
Dr. Flores?
Did I hear you state that next week, our next board meeting, you'll have subgroup
Yes.
Disaggregated data?
Yes.
Okay, by grades and
Absolutely.
okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, Dr. Flores.
So
for being
again, Dr.
patient.
Flores, we thought it would be too much tonight because we're trying to teach the model as well as give you school level data. You'll get some good high level school level data and overall district performance tonight.
And I guess our TSSP schools will be in that data as well.
Yes, and they'll
correct?
be there, and you'll be in here
Right.
tonight as well.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great, thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Flores. So also the last clarification too, you won't see high schools in this data. High school performance data is now considered a college and career indicator, and so you'll see that we'll go over that in November when we go over our 2017 graduation, A to G completion, college and career indicator. In fact, wait, am I reading that right? Yes. And so they're not considered an achievement piece anymore. So you won't see this. This data is only related to the grades 3 through 8th for CAS testing. Next slide, please. So, board, as always, we like to start off with the bottom line for our presentations. So this slide, what we affectionately call in cabinet as the driver slide, this tells you what the bottom line is for our presentations. Some of these overall performance statements that you'll see above will make more sense as we move through the presentation. Some of the interpretive takeaways from our 16-17 data to our 17-18 performance are as follows. So number one, the biggest change that you'll see tonight is how the state is presenting performance data. The state is taking status, meaning where did you test or where did you land, and change, and then assigning that a performance level. They've assigned those performance levels across these 5 pie charts that we'll look at later. But just to give you a sense of how we're doing as a district, we're going to get deeper into the slides as we go, but this is, again, is an overview, is that if you're looking at number 2, San Bernardino Center Unified Status in English Language Arts is negative 29.1 average scale score points, below level 3, and we grew 6.7 average scale points. That'll make more sense to you in the next coming slides. Number 3, in math, we landed at negative 60.9. That is our status. And our growth is 2.1 year over year. And again, that'll make more sense in the coming slides. 4, We anticipate that our overall performance level for English language arts will remain yellow as a district for ELA, and drop to orange for math. We didn't make the gains that we expected to make in math, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. In both English language arts and mathematics, the majority of our schools are operating in the low range according to the new accountability model. We'll get into that as well. Next slide. Number 6, we do have some good news as well as some challenging news as well. But number 6, 4 out of 11 of our TSSP schools maintained or declined, while 7 of our TSSP schools increased or increased significantly year over year. The good news, 8 and 9, 37 out of 59 of our schools increased in ELA, and 37 out of 59 of our schools increased in math year over year. So that's just kind of the bottom line, down and dirty, of what you'll see in the next few slides. Next slide. So, board, I really want to have your attention on the slide that you're looking at now. This is where we're going to walk you through how the state communicates performance data to school districts. You'll see that we've visualized this as a number line to explain and interpret the California State Accountability Model. You will see here that meet standard level 3 is represented as 0. For scale scores below 0, let me see that next one. You'll see scale scores below 0, growth is represented as the number is getting smaller as it approaches 0. So we've given you an example here. Arrowhead Elementary School for 16-17, their status was negative 73.8. And then when they took the test in the spring of 2017, their status raised to negative 44.4, meaning they're getting closer to meeting standard, which is represented by the 0. So they grew 29.4 scale points between year over year, which represents a significant, yeah, so that growth represents significantly increased growth status. So you'll see, board, that the way that the state is telling us our performance data is starting out with status, meaning where did you land when you tested, plus growth equals performance level. We'll give you another example here with a higher achieving school. What was that? Rodriguez Middle School for 16-17 scored at 16.4. You'll see that's above 0, meeting past standards. And then when they took the test in the spring of 17, they grew to 31.3, which represents a 14.9 growth. So I want to have...
We have one question.
Yes, so let me finish this one sentence. So I want to have your board reflect. We're going to stay here for a second and be happy to answer any questions. So...
Yes, Dr. Mitchell.
Yes.
What does that mean? I mean, so we went up 29.4 points, but what does that mean? Where are we in terms of where we should be?
So the state is saying that meeting standard is 0, and the distance from 3 or distance from 0 is how they're communicating our performance level. So the scale points are just literally numbers, points from 0.
Yeah, I understand that, but to get to 0, what do we need to have?
They would need, for next year, they would need to grow 44.4 points to get 0. This past year, they
to be
grew,
at the top.
Yeah, to be at meet standard.
To meet standards.
Yes.
So to meet standards, we need to go 44.4 more points in this particular school.
Yeah, from 18 to 19. Yes, ma'am.
And in language arts?
Yes, this is all ELA, and we just use this as an example to explain the model.
And last year, our kids were at minus
73.8. Yes,
which was from 100%, right? So we're at
no, it's not even 100. That's another confusing part about it. The state is not there's not a negative 100 and a positive 100. It's just a number, literally. It's not percentage points. They're calling it scale score points.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not saying.
But this is only just to meet the standard.
Yes,
and it doesn't mean to go beyond the standard.
No, it does not.
And to meet the standard is average.
Would you say that? It's proficient or above proficient. Go ahead, Barbara.
Good evening, Dr. Flores. So as we look at this, when you're operating on the left-hand side of the zero, you're working to get the average of all of the students
Correct.
to meet standard. As you move toward the right, then we're looking at getting students not just to meeting standard, but to exceeding standard.
So what's the next category after meet standards?
It would be exceed standards.
Exceed standard.
And is that the last one?
Yes.
So, okay, to exceed standards. And again, you're giving us averages.
This is how the state is reporting it, Dr.
Right,
Flores.
but next week, next board meeting, you're going to disaggregate the data.
We're going to disaggregate it, but you'll still see it presented in this way. So it'll get clear. Let's go to the next. First of all, are there any other questions? It'll get
Yes,
clear once we go to the chart.
okay, so we're going to try to cover one more and then get you back up to speed. Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to be clear. I mean, we spent a lifetime. They told us when I was in elementary school we're going to go from metric to standard, and that never happened.
Right.
But the state has no problem changing the way they measure schools every 5 years.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make any sense. But I think what would really help, and the only thing that's consistent, is to show how we compare to like districts.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah, so it's not tonight's report, but
No, it's tonight's report.
is
Dan-
it?
Daniel.
Because that's what makes the biggest difference.
Yes, it's going to make sense.
And then once we see that, then we'll have a point of reference because at least I kind of know where we are in comparison to surrounding districts and districts like ours. Then making sure we always are moving in a positive direction. But in terms of showing a number as a negative 73 and a negative 44, as far as I'm concerned, this new system is worse than the last one.
Yeah. So Mr. Tillman, I appreciate you answering that question. We are going to get there in the next few slides. What Cabinet's obligation was to the board, or is to the board, is to make sure that we are familiarizing you with the state accountability system, because we know you're in a variety of meetings across the state, and we want to make sure that you are up to speed in terms of how the state is measuring student performance now. We agree. This made it more complicated in my view, and I think in most layman's view. But we still have the obligation to make sure that we do our best to make sure you're up to speed. And so we've also, the way that we're going to show the next few slides will help provide a little bit more clarity on this. Are there any questions on this number line or how we're representing student performance here? Good, let's move forward. Thank you. So, board, getting passed around to you now, and so I purposely did not give you some stuff so we could have your attention on this. What you're going to get now is what the state is calling their 5x5 color tables. This is related to the 5 pie charts and how the state calculates our performance level. So if you be patient with me for a few minutes, we can go through this a little bit and try to get some clarity around how the state is measuring our performance, or communicating our performance, I should say. So if you look at, this is the blank accountability model. If you go to the state website, this is what you'll see in terms of how schools are being ranked and how performance levels are being calculated. So if you look down the left-hand side, that represents status. And you'll see you start at very high, which represents 45 points or higher. High is 10 to 44.9. Medium is -5 to 9.9. Low is -5.1 to -70, and very low is -70.1 and below. So that's status. That is like where you score. If you look across the top, that is change, how much you grew year over year. And you'll see decline significantly. That's declined by 15 points or more. Declined, 3 to 5 points decline. Maintained, you went up or down by 3 points or less. Increased means you went up by 3 to 15 points, and increased significantly means you went up by 15 points or more. So let me have you take your left finger, and let's say that a school scored low. So put your finger on an orange, on the orange level, that whole row. If a school scored lower, that means they scored between -5.1 and -70. But let's say that they took the test and they grew by 15 points. That school then would land in as a as a yellow. You see that? So they're still low, but they grew, they increased. Does that make sense? That's how that's how we're calculating school performance. I'll let that marinate a little bit.
And while that's marinating, I want to remind the board they are in the process of potentially refining this further to make it more parent-friendly. Just as a reminder. So I want to make it. And it's a challenging endeavor that they're in the middle of. It's not an easy task.
And Mr. Tillman left, but to me, averages don't tell us anything. And we don't. Okay, so we report this to the state, but what do our kids need? I mean, and how do our teachers know? And I appreciate you sharing what we have to know from the state point of view, but for me, this is just a show, a dog and pony show for the state. And I want to know what our kids need, what do our teachers need to know, so that we can move the dial.
Absolutely.
And make them successful.
Yeah,
period.
We're going to show some of that.
Yeah.
In our formative assessments and those kinds of things, our local measures help us get to more of that. But are there any questions about how the performance levels are calculated? Again, the left side is status and the top is change. The good thing about it is because for years, educators complained about not getting credit for growth. So now you're showing you have a growth model as well as a status model, which has made it complicated to do both. Generally, we used to just get, hey, 60% of kids are proficient, but it didn't really show growth. We had to do that as an internal calculation. This calculation actually shows us both status and change, which is a good thing, but also makes it more complicated. So I want to get us into some real school examples, and that might help you further. So if we can pass out, you're going to receive 2 pieces of paper, one for English board, one for math, that shows where our schools actually performed in relation to this 5x5 chart. And this will provide much more clarity for the board as we move forward with this information. So board, I would ask you, they're paper clipped right now, I'd ask you to put them side by side. And make sure that you put your ELA on your left and your math on your right. And as we look, we'll give you a couple of examples. So board, I'm looking at the English one, and I'm looking in the yellow column. And I'm looking at Arrowhead Elementary. You'll see that Arrowhead Elementary if you go over to the left-hand side, what status currently is Arrowhead? Low. Because their scores are between -5.1 and -70. But they're in the yellow column all the way to the right, so they increase by how much? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do another example. Let's look at Martin Luther King Elementary School, or Middle School, in the increased column, in the yellow column. Put your finger on that, please. And you'll see that what status is Martin Luther King Middle School? Low. And how much did they increase by year over year? 3 or less than 15. Let's do one more example. Go up to the blue column with Palm Elementary School. What is their current status? And what did they increase by? We got it. We're done here. Let's go have a beer. Sorry. No, let's look at math on your right-hand side. I want you to go to your green column all the way to the right with Palm again. What is their status in math? Medium. Palm. Is that Palm? Yeah, medium. And how much did they increase by year over year? So does the board have an understanding? Now there's a couple other things in this chart that I want to bring your attention to. The stars, the starred schools there are TSSP schools, and you'll see we have a significant number of them that made increased or significantly increased If you look on your math, if you look over at Cole Elementary School, you'll see a star there. Cole is currently a TSSP school. And so what we want to celebrate, board, is that that yellow column on both sides. Look at the yellows toward increased significantly. We have a number of our schools that, although they're in the low status, we are pleased to report that they have some accelerated gains year over year. Do you see how that works? So if you're looking at English language arts, on your left hand, with your left hand, starts with Belvedere. And I also want to call your attention to put your finger on SBCUSD district. Do you see that on English? So that says what is the district's current status? What is the district's current status? Low. But how much did we increase by year over year? So we want to stay in that increased and that increased significantly columns. Yeah, absolutely. But you got to get. Absolutely. I'm not suggesting that at all, Dr. Flores. What I'm suggesting is that we want to be in the increased and significantly increased columns year over year to eventually be moving up the status. But we have a lot of growth to do to increase our status. I'm going to go to the next slide, board. This is Danny's point and Dr. Flores' point. What are parents receiving about this? This right here, we have attached an actual student level report. This is what parents get in the mail. You'll see that it covers the overall student score, which is in the yellow column. You'll see graphs of the previous year's and this year's scores. You'll see results by area for English language arts and math. Those are our claims. And then you'll see a score history in comparison to the state average. So this is what parents are receiving, which is complex. And that's why we wanted to share with you that we're not sharing with you another cut of the data that our parents are receiving something less or more friendly. This is the actual report that parents would receive if their kids are in grades 3 to 8 and have taken the CASP.
Do we have a handout of that as well?
And I'm sorry,
That's
Dr.
okay.
Martin,
So we'll get a handout to you
I
next time
apologize.
so you can get a sample of what our parents have seen. I got this in the mail from my son, Jonathan.
Yeah. So I apologize for not having a sample. But what we wanted to demonstrate here, board, is the complexity of the language that our parents are receiving, and wanted to make sure that you're aware of actually what our parents are receiving. Next slide, please. Board, what you see here is actually the California dashboard. If anyone in the community wanted to go in and see what our performance level for our district, you'll see that they'd go to the dashboard. This is not up yet for 17-18. It's a sample, but this is what you'd see. What we're presenting tonight in terms of CASP, ELA, and math are only 2 of the 5 state indicators within the California accountability model. The other 3, one of them is chronic absenteeism, the other one is suspension, and the other one is EL progress. Now, board, if you remember back in August, staff presented a presentation to the board regarding our suspension rates, our attendance rates, and our chronic absenteeism. And then, as I told you earlier, you'll get a full LP report, or our English Learners Progress Indicator report, in January. And so you're seeing, this is why we're chunking and chewing the information that we're giving you, so that way you don't walk away with big notebooks of a whole lot of information. We're really trying to show you how we're achieving and then what we're doing about it over time to grow the board's confidence that we're working hard to move these dials, and a lot of our dials are moving, and so we're happy to report that. Next slide. So Mr. Tillman, this slide is what you asked for earlier, is how are we doing in comparison to our local districts? Now I want to show you some. So this is for 16-17, Mr. Tillman and board. It's not for 17-18, because as I've said, 17-18 data is not official yet, and we could not access our local districts' data. You'll see that, as stated before, as you can see, we are outperforming all of our local districts with the exception of Riverside and Redlands. So the top part is math. The bottom part is English. We'll illustrate, you'll see that Rialto Unified is at -84 in English, and San Bernardino is at -63. You'll see that Moreno Valley and Fontana are at 17.7 and 72.7 and 72.4 respectively, and you'll see that we're at -63, and with Riverside at -38. On the English language arts side, you'll see that Moreno Valley is at -55.5, San Bernardino is at -35.8, Fontana is -44. Again, our district is -35.8, and we're closing ground with Riverside at -11.3. You see our highest local, well, I don't want to say our highest, but one of our higher performing local districts that we compare to is Redlands at 34.1 in math and 42.4 in English. So this gives you a snapshot of how we're doing in comparison to our local districts.
Any questions by the board? Questions? I do. I think this is very important. I'm glad you brought this sheet up because once you compare it with other school districts, you realize we're doing a lot better than, well, not a lot better, but we are definitely doing better than other school districts that like to gloat and show off.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
just to see that they're behind us.
I thought you'd like to see that.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing this. I just wish articles would probably publish something like that. to show
Madam
it.
President.
All right, yes, Dr. Flores.
Well, I mean, comparatively, but it's still low.
Oh, no, it's still low, yeah.
I mean, it's way low.
It's still low.
And we're still yellow. So, I mean, comparatively, our other districts are close behind us. But I think that I'm not too happy about it because we're not doing what we should be doing. And I don't think we should get lulled by thinking that because we're better than our surrounding districts, we don't have to get on the ball. Yeah, so.
So again, this was just
Just
to show.
a quick question. So on this chart, just because we're trying to learn this twister board together, how, so when you did this, which is good because it's fresh in our mind, would you, as we create this for our own model and look, would these be in those color-coding colors, or did you just choose to do it?
The colors are only to differentiate between the districts.
Okay,
They're
but
not related to the state's performance levels.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
is just a
Because
different.
we just had a lot of data up there, and we couldn't
And you just
figure
said,
out-
okay,
yeah,
separate
got
it out, because blue is
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
good
absolutely,
when we're looking
absolutely,
over here, going in that direction. Okay.
And we spent at least 17 minutes on the
Right.
colors.
And every color of the rain. I get it. A twister,
Yeah,
left hand.
yeah.
I'm good.
So thank you for bringing that up. I'm glad you clarified that because we did struggle with that piece. Next slide, please. Board, we wanted to show you what our 17-18 projections look like visually using this line. For the district, I've showed you schools, and so as I said, our current status right now for math is -63. Or not, our 17 data was -63. We grew to -60.9, which represents a 2.1 gain. From the state's perspective, that would be a maintained. If you go back to your cheat sheet here, and you look across the top, if we can do that, because I want to make sure we nail that. If you look across the top, maintained is ±3. So as a district, our change or growth is at a level of maintained. Our status being -60.9. Where is our status, board? Low. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So this next piece. For English language arts, for 16-17, we were at -35.8. And then this past year, we grew to -29.1, which represents an increase of 5.3. So board, if you look at your cheat sheet, where is the increase for 5.1? Is it increase or significantly increase? Increase. And what is our status at -29.1? Still low. So you see, there's quite a bit of work to be done in our district, but we do want to take the time to celebrate our growth, particularly with a new Common Core state standards, new accountability model, so on and so forth. And so just wanted to share that piece with you. Next slide. We do want to take a few minutes to celebrate some of our highest status champions with Hillside growing, having a scale score at 61.1, Palm at 15.5, Richardson at 66.8, Rodriguez at 31.3. Very high scores with Hillside at 23.6, Richardson at 46, and Rodriguez at 21.7. We're really proud of those scores. Let's give a hand clap for those scores, please. Yeah. And if we can have the principals stand up so that the board can acknowledge those principals in the house, please. Let's give them another. Next slide. We also want to celebrate the significant growth of some of our schools that, although didn't change status levels, and some of them did, but although may have not changed status level, but had significant increases year over year, and you can see those there. I want to highlight for the board that the schools in blue had significant increases in ELA and math, and the double-starred schools are TSSP schools. And so, if those principals in the house, please stand up and be acknowledged by our board, please. Next slide, please. So board, although we're not satisfied with our current levels of achievement, we attribute these gains to the implementation of our work plans. 2 years ago, we implemented a document called the Principal Work Plan, where we've asked principals to identify the professional learning for adults on campuses. And so the idea is that we've asked principals to lead their staffs in collaboratively creating learning foci for the adults on campus that when implemented with high fidelity, quality, and frequency, yield high levels of performance for students. Next piece, please. We then are asking that the professional collaboration among teachers work on learning those strategies, implementing those strategies in the classroom. So we want principals to lead and provide dedicated forums for teachers to plan and discuss the professional learning foci, interpret data, review student products, and refine personal and collective practice. That's the planning. And then we want to replicate those effective practices through model lessons, co-teaching, lesson study, instructional rounds, coaching cycles, and inter and inter-site visitation. Lastly, we're asking principals to really highly align the feedback they're giving to teachers based upon the adult learning foci for the school. So the idea in a simple nutshell is, what do we want adults on our campus to learn and be able to do at high levels to accelerate student performance, giving them the appropriate time that teachers need to plan and work together to improve their personal and collective practice, and then principals and site leaders providing feedback on those adult learning foci so that teachers can improve their personal and collective behaviors, and also build collective efficacy around their ability to work together. That the answer, we believe, is at sites. The answer, we believe, is within our teachers, and organizing our schools around strong adult learning systems, we believe, accelerate student performance. And so we attribute the gains and the continued gains that we expect to get through the development and implementation of the Principal Work Plan. And so with that, I'd like to have Barbara introduce our principal speakers to give you some sense of what they're doing and what they've done to foster the gains that they've gotten at their schools. Thank you.
Again, before we move on, I just want to make sure with the board, any other questions before we move on? Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, I do, just in terms of technology. You don't have to have it tonight, but at some point on, for instance, this page you have, page 14, if you could just tell me what device they took the test on?
A variety of, go ahead, Barbara, that's probably better.
So, Mr. Tillman, they took the test on a variety of devices. So the iPads at many schools were used with keyboards so they can see the full screen, many with Chromebooks, many with Apple computers. It just depends on what the school has and regularly uses with their students.
And then do we have any data that shows the students that took the test with the same device they practice on every day, or is that?
So the schools are using the devices that the kids practice on and use regularly in their classrooms.
We're sure of that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then Dr. Flores.
I want to commend the principals for your leadership and moving forward with your achievements. I know it's not easy and difficult. And I counted how many schools are, moving further than 15 or more average score points. But I just want to remind us, we have 76 schools. So while 1/4 of our schools are doing well, we have 3/4 that are not. And we have to keep our eye on the ball, and we need to, and what you said, Dr. Mitchell, it comes down to the principal's leadership and teachers working together so that they, refine their pedagogy and also our assessment and so forth so that we can address our kids' learning needs and their development. So I just want to remind us all that 3/4 of our schools are not achieving. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Please proceed.
So we have 3 principals that will be speaking to us tonight about how they have increased student learning at their schools. If you'll welcome up Keisha Handy from Cole Elementary. And as she comes up, Cole Elementary in mathematics moved from a negative 99 to a negative 78.9 for a growth of 20.1 scale score points, and that is a significant increase. In terms of English language arts, Cole moved from negative 68.6 to a negative 47.8 for a 20.8 gain in scale score points in English language arts. So increases that were significant in both math and English arts at Cole Elementary.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Marsden, members of the board and cabinet. My name is Keisha Handy. I'm the proud principal of Cole Elementary, where I used to teach in 2003. So I came back as the principal, so I'm very, very grateful to be back home. I've been asked to share with you some of the instructional practices that led to our significant increase in both ELA and math. And I love the title of the slide. If you have it in front of you, it says increase champions. And this year, our actual theme is champions. So right before our morning announcements, we actually play a song. It's by Carrie Underwood and Ludacris, and it's I Am a Champion. So every morning, our kids get to hear about being a champion. So I just love that, so I had to share that.
That's great.
So when looking at our significant growth last year, I really need to commend Dr. Mitchell for that principal work plan. We used that in developing our instructional foci for the year. And there were 4 instructional practices from that work plan that we implemented, and I know we implemented it well because we got significant growth, and I'm really happy to share it with you. The first one has to do with mastery learning, comes from John Hattie. And so with mastery learning, it was very important that we focused on our standards and looking at our standards, unwrapping them, identifying the skills and concepts within them, and writing learning objectives, and making sure that they were concise, measurable with success criteria. Our goal was that 80% of our students would meet first instruction. So not in small groups, but first instruction, and we planned for 80% of mastery of the learning objective. So having clear learning intentions. The second one that we focused on was mathematical practices. So there's 8 of them, and we are about quality versus quantity. So we said we know we have to teach all 8, and we will do that. But what are the 2 that really kind of overlap and that will really give us a bigger bang for our buck? So we decided to focus on 2 school-wide, and the conversations that we had to do with mathematical practice 3, which has to do with construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. So which required the kids prove their work. So it's not just getting it done. They had to collaborate and go back and forth and determine whether or not it was right or whether or not it was wrong. The other one that we focused on school-wide was mathematical practice 6. This one has to do with attend to precision. And it's not just getting the answer correct, but it's using the academic language associated with that math concept. So in their discussions around math and mathematical practices, we were listening for the language that was used and also identifying what the kids were doing collaboratively and getting the end results. Our third high leverage practice that we decided to do at school-wide that had to do with our work plan was lesson studies. So we learned this from a lot of our in-services or site leadership team meetings. So every single week, our teachers met for 45 minutes on a Tuesday, and they met looking at the data and using the data to make informed decisions about their planning. They looked at the assessments and determining whether or not students were making the adequate growth. They also looked at the scope and sequence for our district and realizing within this first trimester, this is what needs to be accomplished. And then also we did classroom visits during that time. So we even went to Rodriguez Prep Academy today. So we visited Ryan's school. So after our visits during our lesson study, and it was a lesson study time that we did the visit today, and all of their visits are usually during our lesson studies, we come back and we talk about what are some practices that we learned from this visit and what can we do to refine what we're already doing, and how does that connect to what we're learning in our schools. And I'm at every single observation. So when we go on a school visit, I'm there with them, and we're discussing it together. I'm not leading this discussion, but I'm a part of the discussion. So lesson studies were a huge, huge part of that. And I would like to just acknowledge Kate Durst, the program specialist from elementary instruction. She did a lot of work with professional development as it relates to math and helping us to understand the framework and being able to use the math framework and interpret the Envision curriculum their adoption, as well as the standards. So she sat with us within our lesson studies and our observations and provided professional development. My LES is filled with her name, asking if she can come back. I'm like, I thought this was about me, but no, it was completely about Kate and how much they loved her support. Our fourth and final high leverage practice that we use was curriculum alignment and attention to the scope and sequence of the district as it relates to ELA and math. And when I arrived at Cole, I just got there November of 2016. That's when I first became the principal there. And walking into classrooms, everyone was working so incredibly hard. And everyone was doing many different things, but they were working so incredibly hard. And so we talked about that. You know, we're getting these small gains, so and we're still learning about Common Core. So we have these awesome adoptions. Why don't we just take a look at them and see if that's something that we would like to try? So as a staff, we decided that we needed to align what we were doing, our resources, so we can have common conversations about the learning that's happening on campus. So at Cole Elementary, we all use Wonders. We all use Envision Math, and we are looking at that scope and sequence. This year, we're implementing the SBAC interim, looking at the rubrics and all of that, being very intentional about our next steps, and being very mindful of how students are growing and progressing in their learning. In conclusion, I think I said this to you before, what started the momentum towards success at Cole is the realization that we need to stop trying to fix kids. It's about working on ourselves and building capacity within ourselves. And in December of 2016, there was a fourth grade teacher, she said, and I quote, "I'm noticing that when I ask students a question, most of them just sit there and wait for me to give them the answer. They aren't doing any of the work. I'm realizing that I'm starting to do the work. I no longer give them the answer. I require that they use the resources and problem-solving tools that I've given them on their own. My classroom started to change when I started to change," end quote. When she said that, it was like a ripple effect. Everyone started to nod their heads and saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. So then that's when we started to get down to business and rolled up our sleeves and said, you know what, this is not about the kids. It's about us getting together and really owning what it is that we're doing our practice and really becoming the human experts of student learning. Isn't that what we call ourselves? So what do we need to do that? And so we really established that collective teacher advocacy. John Hattie, we purchased that book, or a lot of those readings last year. We read about collective teacher advocacy last year and some other resources. The ELA framework is filled of information. So we spent time on Saturdays just learning about what this Common Core thing really is. And from that, there was one quote a teacher wrote from readings that she did. She said, if the teachers believe, students will believe. And it starts with us. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Hold on. Mr. Tillman has a question.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it. So what grades are tested?
3rd through 6th.
And we were talking earlier in closed session about a candidate, but the candidate talked about the importance of kindergarten. So I realize you probably do a lot of work in the 3rd through 6th. Where
No, I do TK through 6.
to kick it. So,
Yeah.
so did you make changes to those grades too, so that when those students are coming up, where they are going to be tested, they're better prepared?
Absolutely. Well, this year we do have a TK2 focus. Last year the focus was on math. But the one thing that we did school-wide, TK to 6th grade, is that we established learning objectives. Because if I'm not clear about my teaching, and so if I don't have teacher clarity in what I want kids to learn, then kids are just doing a lot of activities.
Right.
There's no learning that's happening. So when I walk into a classroom now, even in TK, I don't ask them what they're doing. I ask them what they're learning.
Right.
And how do they know what it is that they're learning? How do they know you're learning it? So, and why is this important? So there's 3 questions I ask. What are you learning? Why is this important? And how do you know you've gotten it? The learning objective should tell them that. So if they're not clear about what they're learning, they're just completing an activity and there's no learning happening. And that happens in TK all the way to 6th grade and even in my SDC classes. I never ask kids what they're doing because they'll say I'm doing math.
That's a great one.
I guess something we never see is any measurement of how well students are doing, say for instance in TK. Are there measurements?
Yes, they have standards in TK. They're not state standards. It's the standards that our district has provided because TK is not mandated to have standards. But we have a phenomenal TK teacher. Her name is Ms. Londo. She's actually the leading TK teacher in the district. Right. So she has extreme knowledge in early literacy skill. I actually showcased her last week. Every week on Sunday, I showcase a classroom. I got that from Tasha. She did her weekly walkthrough. So I showcase instructional practices that are happening on our campus with pictures and video about what's happening on our campus as it relates to research. And so she's one of them.
Yeah, and I really think that foundation is critical. So I hope, Dr. Marsden, that we, are looking at TK throughout the district to ensure that that foundation is there.
Yes.
And if we see sites that need extra resources, that we target those sites. I think we wait too late if we wait to see what the test score is in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 6th grade, because those prior grades had impacts on that also. So.
Absolutely. Well, we're doing core training right now. So elementary instruction has invited core. We started it last year. I wish I would have known. I purchased that core book for all of the teachers. They're $140 each. So they're actually doing it now. So we started the reading of core last year. So we have 3 different instructional foci this year. One is TK to 2nd, which is all reading foundational skills with synthetic explicit instruction approach. So we have Kate Durst coming in to model those instructional routines and practices. So that core manual is about this thick. I have a teacher now doing parent workshops on the core manual. He loves it as a kinder teacher. So you got to give them the right resources in their hand and give them the right supports. And the teachers want to do well. I'm grateful because my teachers love the kids that they serve, and I just love the work that they do.
Thank you.
All right, and Dr. Flores?
Yes, I want to thank you so much. That's the instructional leader that I know that you are, is what's moving the dial. And then also you said several things that are imprinted in my mind. If the teacher believes, the children believe.
That's right.
And if the teacher changes, the children will change. And and what they're doing is creating a new learning environment. And the questions that you're asking are very pertinent. What are you learning? Mm-hmm. How do you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, those are very different than, and then what Mr. Tillman said, well, can we document that? And that's what I was talking about, Mr. Tillman and rest of the board members. We need to document and show parents that the kids are growing. And I know we do have, growth measures that do that. I mean, yeah, we have to do the state stuff, but what's more significant to me is the growth, showing the growth and having teachers, learn to interpret that data so that they can realign their lessons so they can, move our kids so that they're learning. So that's what I was talking about.
And our data protocols are very helpful for that. We just did one today, and I do data chats with the teachers, so I have them up and coming in October.
Right.
And
And-
also, we have a data wall in our
Right.
classrooms for our kids to see
So the
their own
kids see
they
that
see
they're
their own-
learning
yes.
and so forth. And that's what's really important, making visible, hey, we're learning.
Mm-hmm.
And teachers know, and kids know, and parents know.
Absolutely.
That's what's significant.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so
Flores.
much.
All right, thank you. And we still have one more presentation from another teacher, right? Two more?
Good job. Give her a big hand.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
And our next principal that's coming up is Maria Haragi from Martin Luther King Middle School. And in mathematics, Martin Luther King gained 6.4 average scale score points this last year. And in English language arts, they gained 5.2 average scale score points.
Good evening, Board President Rosales Medina, Superintendent Dr. Marston.
Good evening.
Members of the Board and Cabinet. I am the proud president. I am the proud principal of King Middle School. I am going to be talking to you about our accomplishments academically and both behaviorally because as I go through, I want you to keep this number in mind. 1/3 of my student population is either homeless or foster. I have 1/3 of my student population who are English learners. So the needs and the care of my community was a little bit different. And as we focus on academics, we also have to focus on the other. So at King, we use the continuous growth model to strategically develop cohesion in developing staff pedagogy in the areas of first instruction and standards progression. In order to create alignment among the departments and across content areas school-wide, we are specifically looking at collaborative student learning, reading comprehension, levels of questioning, and checking for understanding from every department, from PE, math, language arts, social studies, electives, and science, under the umbrella of data-driven instruction for targeted student learning. Our staff is highly involved in lesson study, department release days, differentiated professional development using a workshop approach, structure instructional rounds, and informal classroom learning walks to identify best practices and our focus in the areas with the end goal to continue to get better at getting better in our praxis. That's something that we consistently say. We're focusing on getting better at getting better. I could go into details of what is the continuous growth model, but Dr. Mitchell has beautifully outlined the work that we have been working on as leaders. I could also describe what is collaborative student learning, levels of questioning, and checking for understanding, but I won't. Instead, I'm going to talk about our school culture and climate, which is focused on creating a trauma-sensitive school. Just like we use data to identify areas of academic growth and/or enrichment, we also use data to identify our scholars who have had challenges in their behavior. It was a two-part process, one being the establishment of creating a Tier 2 team that is encompassed by our school site support staff and administration to develop individual interventions and supports in partnership with our teachers and staff for Tier 2 and Tier 3 scholars, from providing mentors, creating systems such as check-in and check-out, providing outside resources, counseling, to working with district and community resources to provide social and emotional supports to our students, including but not limited to the basics, such as food, clothing, and referring them to the proper agencies for housing. Part 2 of our process as a staff, we focused on understanding what social and emotional learning is and how does it impact scholars academically through professional development. We went through a process of first working on ourselves as adults to gain understanding of how our own personal traumas or approaches can impact the type of school climate we create. It was a year of growing and learning for all of us as we aligned our vision to what we want our school to look like and what we had in place. We wanted to have scholars in class, and we wanted as a whole to be better equipped with the tools to best serve our scholars' social and emotional needs. Our conversations changed from making statements like, why are you acting this way? To asking questions such as, what is bothering you? What's going on? This made the difference in demonstrating to our scholars that we cared. In building relationships and connecting to our scholars, our parents, and our community. There is much work to be done in this area, but at King, we are ready and energized to take it on. As a result, we are making the gains, both academically and behaviorally, that need to be made. In celebration of my staff, not only have we made gains in math and language arts on the CAF scores, we have also made gains in the following areas. Our English learners have reclassification jumped to 15.1%. They jumped 51%. Suspensions were reduced from 331 to 17. I'm going to repeat that again. 331 to 17.
Yeah, big hand. That's great work.
And referrals were reduced for more than half from the previous year. Out of 50 Tier 3 scholars from 2018, only 14 transitioned to 2018-2019 as Tier 2. In addition, 83 scholars who were considered Tier 2 from the previous year were eliminated going into 2018-2019. Currently, the school has 125 active PTO members that have raised enough money this year to provide all 340 eighth graders the 8th grade dinner dance for free. And it is only October. They are truly a group that is very motivated and on a mission. Based on our current recent progress report card, 39% of our scholars have a 3.5 GPA or higher. And we now have established a wellness center for our scholars to self-refer. And we are working on establishing an adult wellness center on our campus for our staff. We have a lot to celebrate and we have a lot to do, but I have the right staff in the right place to do it. We are definitely a school on the move that it's making hope happen, because that's who we are, correct? Hope makers. So we do have all the pieces, as my colleague before me shared, in terms of how do we monitor student learning, the tools that we use to measure, the tools that we look for observations, the things that we're doing together as a staff. And as she mentioned, it has to do with the collaboration and the conversations that we have as adults in terms of what's best for kids, not only academically, but behaviorally. And I truly believe that this has really transformed the mindset of my campus to doing what's best for our kids. So we do have a saying in our norms that all students and all adults belong to all of us, and they truly do.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Great work. Good job.
And Mr. Tillman has a comment or question?
And thank you for your presentation. The numbers you stated in the beginning, you said 1/3 of your students are foster, and what the other, and how many were homeless?
They're fosters and homeless. The last time I checked, I believe it was 177.
And I mean,
and that number fluctuates
right.
month to month.
No, but great presentation. And the report you gave is the reason why I don't like this standard reporting, because none of that's reflected on the quote unquote state dashboard, right? And just from your report and the results, it's obvious your staff is doing a whole lot of work.
Correct.
Dedicating a whole lot of extra time. And the sad thing is they don't get the kudos they deserve. And, we had a discussion last week about discussing the status of our schools. And my concern was we should never let this, whatever the state decides how they're going to measure schools, we should never accept that until they can prove to us that they're taking into account all that extra work that you're doing for all those students, literally saving the students' lives. When you talk about changing between asking kids, why did you do that? Instead, you say, you know, what's going on? And I mean, that's huge. I know I had a young man I worked with at King probably 20 years ago, and he's doing well now. But they would call me when he would act up in class, and that was the question I asked, what's going on at home? And there was always something going on that was driving some of the ways he was acting out. And really, in the end, he was crying out for help and somebody just to, hey, notice me. And they want somebody to ask what's going on, and they don't know how to do it, you know what I mean? So I just got to commend you and your staff for doing the work that you're doing. And I think internally we should try to find ways to celebrate and show all the work that you're talking about doing, because right now we don't have anything that turns from blue to yellow to green based on all that work that you're doing, right? There's no way your school should be any color, but if blue is the best, it should be blue.
I agree,
Yeah, so-
100%. We're working with cases. We provide individual interventions and supports. So we're looking at each child as its own. I'll give you a prime example of some of the work that we're doing. And my team, they will tell you, I work them very hard, and we work very hard together. But when we're doing a CUME review, we're doing a profile review on every child, on what is it that specifically the child needs, whether it's academics or behavior, and we reach out into the community, into the resources. I had most recently a student who was in a group home, foster, originally from Sacramento, traumas, it's above and beyond.
Right.
But one of the things that we were able to do is we were able to work with Valley College. We learned that he is heavily invested in learning to become a mechanic.
Wow.
So the mentor that we got for him was from Valley College, knowing that the likelihood of that child remaining in that group foster home was not going to be high. So that he can have a mentor that was outside of the system, so that no matter where that child went, they will have that mentorship ready for him. So we are working really hard as a team and reaching out, working with the department secondary, working with Rose. Dr. Monarez has been instrumental in the work that we're doing, so that we're bringing all these pieces together.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Flores, you have a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to commend you and your staff, because what you shared with us shows that everybody cares. Not only do you care for the kids, you figured out how to systematize it in terms of shifting the culture, the climate, not just for the kids, but also for you guys as working together. I mean, you said you were going to establish a wellness center also for your staff.
Correct.
And in dealing with traumas, I mean, to have a third of the kids homeless in Foster, that's tremendous needs. And, you know, it touched my heart when you said, well, we have to do the basics, clothes, food, a safe place. That's Maslow's basic, hierarchy.
Right.
Then you have a third ELs. So, I mean, that's a tremendous amount of commitment as well. And I think what Mr. Tillman says, I always commend him because he has such insights. This is the stuff that we don't get. This is what we want to know. This is what we have to support you with. We have to support all our teachers and principals, because our school district is a high poverty district. So how do we get to academics? Well, we have to first, provide the necessary safety measures, food, clothing, know that kids can go somewhere. And look at what you just said. We knew that he was going to shift around, but we wanted to place him with one mentor, And Alice Miller says, she's a social psychologist, says, all a child needs is one witness, a witness meaning a person that child can go to whenever they're in trouble or they need help, and they know that someone's there for them. It could be a teacher, could be you, could be, this this other person at Valley. Could be a social worker, could be a parent that goes to the school, to help out. And I think Dr. Marsden and Cabinet, I mean, we just have to begin to focus on caring and loving and showing our kids that we care and we love them and love ourselves as well. We have to love ourselves.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much,
All right,
Mrs.
thank you
Haudegui.
so much. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much
Thank you.
for your amazing work.
Well done. Good job.
And our last principal speaker is Randy Clyde from Rodriguez Prep Academy. And as he's walking up, Rodriguez Prep had a 16.6 gain in mathematics, and in English language arts this year, they had a 14.9 gain in scale score points. So, Mr. Clyde?
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Marsden, and Cabinet. I'm the very proud principal of Rodriguez Prep Academy, where I've been the principal now. This is my second year, and I had the honor of serving there as vice principal. One of the things I want to touch base on is what Dr. Mitchell brought up about the principal work plan. The principal work plan really helped me and my team collaborate together to come around what we call a professional learning focus area. And so our focus area, we collaborate. We looked at state standards and said, what is it that the students have to know? We looked at the state test. How are they going to be asked to show that they know it? What are our students coming with? What are our teachers coming with in professional development training? So we asked those questions of ourselves and of our students, and we focused on the area of higher order thinking as being our focus area for our site. So kind of like what Ms. Handy brought up about focusing on not our students, but focusing on ourselves as professionals. So we focused on the area of higher order thinking as a way to accelerate student achievement. Now, part of this, so when I had to think of those high leverage actions of what we did to get the results that we got, we focused on just a few areas. One of the areas being structured teacher collaboration within department and grade level meeting time. And again, this, what I mean by structure, it's again that all our discussions are focused around a common focus, and that focus being higher order thinking. So our primary goal for the first year was clearly describing what does that mean at Rodriguez? What does higher order thinking look like? So through a collaborative process, we identified what that looked like. What does that look like school-wide? What does that look like in math, ELA, science, history? So that was what we mean by structured collaboration. The best way adults learn is to learn from each other. We have the experts at our school. We have the teachers who perform at the highest levels at our schools. They are the experts. So they need time to collaborate with each other, to learn from each other. So that was a huge piece of what we did. So we provided more time to collaborate around a structured piece. We incorporated interim assessments throughout the year to prepare students for the state test. We have this wonderful thing that's offered to us from the state, and it's called interim assessments. It's basically the practice state test. Students can take this test 99 times. Now, we don't want them to take it 99 times because that's just test exhaustion, but we're using the data to find out where are the gaps. How can we help the students make sure they are going to be successful on the state test? So we were incorporating. It was more like encouraging the use of it, right? Let's see if you use it. Do you find it useful? We structured in time within the master schedule for double block math. As you've heard, math is a struggle in our district. It's just very challenging for the students to show that they know the math on the assessment. So we provided double block math options. Now, not for every student, for those students who seem to need the additional time. But we also understand that more time does not mean higher results. It's got to be quality time, and it's got to be targeted. So again, it was looking at how do we teach math for 2 blocks. We're not stretching it out, but we're making it quality time. And then we also increased our after-school instructional support programs for our academically at-risk students. Some students just need, again, additional time. So we had to incorporate that time within our after-school programs. So we brought a new program at Rodriguez called our Safety Net. We don't want any student to fail. So how do we ensure that they succeed? Now, as we think about what we did, we're also thinking about how are we going to continue to increase, right? We had these significant increases, and so the pressure's on to continue getting, these significant increases. So again, it's just being very strategic. This year, we're going to use interim assessments in a more systematic approach to better measure student understanding and provide quick feedback and make informed decisions. So what I mean by more systematic with interims is using them as common assessments where teachers discuss the data. They give the same assessment at the same time, and now we're going to discuss it. What does this mean about how students learn? How are we going to change our practices? And providing that feedback to the students. The sooner the students know what they need to work on, the faster they can get to meeting the standard. We are providing more time for departments and grade level teams to collaborate in order for teachers to increase their knowledge around best practices, plan for the implementation of practices, and reflect around those practices. Again, it's just knowing that we have the experts in the room. It's just giving them the voice and the structure to be able to collaborate and for teachers to learn from each other. So again, it's just, this time we're just being more systematic and more detailed about our original approaches from this last year. And we are also including instructional rounds. These instructional rounds are helping us even clearly define what do we mean by higher order thinking at Rodriguez. So we've said that this is what it is. Now, what does that look like in the classrooms? So as we go to the classrooms and conduct these instructional rounds, teachers are on board. We have parents on board. It's important for our parents to know what our schools are doing. So what are their students learning? What are we expecting of our students? And we are including our classified employees. It's important that the people in the office who are answering the phone, they need to know why we are here. Why are we doing the work we do? So that our custodian knows that it's more than just picking up the trash. We are here to provide students a quality education. So our instructional rounds are intended to focus around what higher order thinking looks like as it is happening in the classroom. So lastly, not only were these gains due to the structures and systems implemented, but this couldn't have been done without the support and dedication of the hardworking teachers, support staff, parents, and students. It is a collaborative effort. This takes a team. We need to work together to identify what works for our students. And my staff works so hard, so hard to get the gains they do. And they deserve every single amount of credit for this. I'm just the lucky principal of Rodriguez, to say the least. So without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I want to thank you, the board, for providing us an opportunity to celebrate the success of not only my school, but all the wonderful schools here in San Bernardino that are showing increase in gains. No matter where you start, whether it's lower in the meeting the standard or higher at meeting the standard, it is no easy task to increase student achievement. And it's just important to understand that what does matter is that our teachers are recognized for the hard work that they do within the classrooms, that our students are recognized for the hard work that they do within the classrooms. So again, thank you for celebrating all the wonderful principals that are here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Clyde.
Thank you. Ms. Rogers, did you have a comment? Oh, no.
Just have one more slide, board.
No, but thank you so much for your presentation.
Let's thank our principals again. Thank you, principals, for sharing. Lastly, board, we just, in terms of our next steps, we're going to continue to focus on the continuous improvement processes by increasing the skill and knowledge of teachers through the implementation of the work plans. As you've heard, we've asked principals to identify the adult learning foci for the schools and really align all of our work around what teachers identify as their learning needs, and then use that as leverage to accelerate student performance. Secondly, we really want to focus on our upper grade math we see that that's a critical low-hanging fruit that we got to get better at. As you know, district, we've focused on math the last couple years, and we will continue to do so. It's consistent across the state, but certainly we have a lot of room to grow and a lot of talent to help us get there. Third, we are really focused around building the data literacy of our centralized staff as well as our site staff. And when we say data literacy, we say that to differentiate between just data, data analysis. We really want our schools getting good at or bettering their skills around identifying key performance indicators and using that to change instructional practices. And then also our formative assessment system is really big. You heard all three principals mention a variety of common and formative assessments that use of their schools, and so we're promoting that and continuing to work with our SBTA partners around identifying district-wide assessments, but also still giving the autonomy for school sites to collaboratively select common assessments to use at their schools in particular. And then lastly, number 5, as I've shared earlier, board, we'll come back to you on October 16th and just do a small revisit of how to read this stuff and then go deep into student level data. So we appreciate your time and attention in this matter and giving us an opportunity to share the hard work that our staffs are engaged in, and also appreciate the board for the support that you've given us in terms of funding and advocacy to make hope happen here in the district. So thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And then Ms. Rogers has a comment.
Yeah, a comment. And I first want to start by saying thank you for this presentation. I think you guys did a great job. Everyone that came to the mic or participated, the principals, you guys really broke it down for us to really, at least for me, I can speak for myself. It went slow enough to really kind of absorb it, and I'm glad you separated out the data because it would just been overwhelming and we went on to the bottom line. But to take the time to dial back and hear what happens and what takes place is really meaningful to me. What I did hear and just want to, and it's not that you probably, I'm sure you all know it, but it was so many common themes. It was so many things that the information was, it's happening over here, it's happening over there, and it's working. The outcome is saying if we do it this way, whether we're in the classrooms asking the right questions, whether we're going to other school sites and we're extracting the information and saying if it's working over here, which is always our question, if it's working over here, why duplicate it? We don't have to go outside of our district. We have wonderful things happening here that if we work together, we can begin to build on what we have. And so that's kind of my question. I'm not usually the data person that's always asking you to bring me, and I'm not asking you to bring me this, but I'm asking that the schools that we looked at and that things are really working well, and especially when we look at the foundation of where we want a student to start, I'm wondering, as we follow those students or as they leave these places where we've heard where the success is taking place, what happens at the next level when we get to middle school, when they go into the feeder schools, which again, from my mind, it says why we have to carry those best practices forward. So whatever is happening at the 10, the 15 schools on this list, because to me, success is success, as long as we're going in the right direction. But when we get there and we do all this hard work at the foundational stage, do we know, or are we looking, or what are we doing to see once that student gets over there, everything that they started with, what happens? So you might want to.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's a complicated question. Here's what we're doing about it. Our principals have told us that they put a lot of value in cabinet giving them time during site leaders meeting to collaborate with one another. So we have a cluster system where it's a feeder pattern. And so even today in Ed Services meeting, we were discussing how best to divide our principals to get the most meaning and impact out of collaboration.
Right.
Because just like with teachers grow from watching each other, sharing ideas, planning with each other. Principals, we're getting rid of the isolation that principals have.
Right.
We have principals that are next door to each other, have great things going on at their schools, and we're creating time for them to collaborate and share practice. So it's building the collective efficacy around sharing what works, and we're hardwiring that into our site leaders meetings. So we've made a couple changes over the last few years. One, we've made sure that our principals are accompanied by their co-administrators in site leaders meetings. So that way the message is going to all of our site leaders in one meeting. Secondly, we've divided our meeting to lessen operational issues, use more email, use standard communication to communicate standardized operational stuff to principals so that we can maximize the time that they share practice with one another. So we believe over time, you're seeing those practices replicate throughout the cluster and throughout the system. The other thing too is that since we've asked principals to all choose a adult learning foci, now we have groups of schools with the same foci.
Right.
So we're encouraging inter-site visitation, instructional rounds together, walking each other's campuses, being a critical friend to each other. So we've created this network where we're trying to maximize the network as opposed to just being co-principals or principals that work in the same district.
Right.
We're actually trying to create partnerships around the same work that they're doing. So thanks for that question.
Well, I applaud that because to learn more and be willing to go outside and then see whoever else is doing, no matter how long they've been doing it, I think that's huge. I mean, and it's something simple, but as you said, sometimes it doesn't get done. So I applaud the district for doing that. And then finally, I agree with what was said earlier. It's important to know, and this is coming from my county hat, I mean, we know that there's 30,000 plus homeless students. Right. They're here. And so when I'm talking on the other county side, we act as though where they are, there are students. And that's 30,000 that we know of based on what we've been able to count or access. So we have to always keep that in mind when we look at a student that's sitting in the chair. You can never know. You have no idea of that. And so I was glad to hear all of those factors that go in. And so to the statement about being blue, that's why you always hear me as a board member saying, I want to look at my own data. I'm not saying to make it a negative thing, but it's for us to be able to do both. We can build in our rewards and say what we're doing well, and then also know internally what is happening, what direction are we going in, because we'll never be able to do Twister, the way the state wants us to do it, but I believe we can have our personal Twister board where we're understanding what our colors and utilizing those colors, but drill down so that we are recognizing the 30,000 plus homeless students that we know that are sitting in the seats here with us and doing what we're doing. But I applaud you. I appreciate every one of you guys. This has been a great presentation.
Thank you so much. And then we have next Dr. Hill. And then Dr. Flores right after.
Thank you, Madam President. And I also want to say to you, Dr. Mitchell and Ms. Richardson, you did a great job. I really appreciate the information you provided us. And I'm going to try to keep mine brief in lieu of time. But I'm going to use a scenario that I'm apologizing up front if I offend anyone. And I probably will. Because as I look at the information you provided tonight, it's very good information, but you're preaching to the choir. The choir is sitting over here, also known as our deacons. You got it because you've been invited to be here. This side is kind of empty and could have held all the rest of the principals in this district who could have been here to say, I never thought of that. So I'm going to ask the deacons or the choir to come up with a way to be the TD Jakes of this school district, if it means putting your ideas on video or doing a webinar so that people who are scratching their heads saying, I wish I could make a difference, but I don't quite know how, that someone can look at some of the things you said tonight. Those of you who are presented, and I know all the rest of you could do the same, but just being able to just go to some information without being at a PDC meeting or being in a group where everybody, you're trying to identify and create answers for everyone, that they could just go and say, English language arts is okay, but I got to get these math students up, that they could go someplace and listen to someone talk about what they did in math. And that way they can turn it on when they want to, they can turn it off when they want to, they can listen on Saturday or Sunday, because I think every principal, I know every principal wants to make a difference and want every student to do better. But again, I commend those of you who are in the room, and we congratulate you. We do need to congratulate our teachers more. We know they're working hard, but we also, and I think I heard Ms. Handy say it earlier about everybody was working. It's like, You're climbing a ladder, but nobody can get into the top. But you keep climbing and what have you, but you haven't reached the top. You're working on reaching that top. And again, I commend you for the good work you are doing for our students. And we need to do something for the missing people. So again, TD Jakes, you can get it right. Thank you.
Thank you
Dr.
so
Hill.
much. And then Dr. Flores.
Yes, thank you for the report. I really appreciate it. You're educating us on how the data board works and so forth. And throughout the state, a lot of school board members are complaining because it doesn't tell us enough. And I can just imagine what the parents will think about it. That's another challenge as well, because I can just tell you right now that they're going to want to learn more. I appreciate all of the principals that are here today. I commend you for your hard work. When I first started doing staff development, I would get tired following you for about 15 minutes. And because you just have a tremendous task in terms of dealing with, plumbing going off, a lost child, teacher didn't show up. I mean, just tremendous responsibilities. I think that, like Dr. Hill said, and Ms. Rogers, and I think also Mr. Tillman, I think that we have to have other ways also of sharing our successes, especially from Ms. Howdige's report. I mean, every report, Ms. Handy, Mr. Fields, y'all did a great job, and that's what we want. We want that. And so I'm still concerned, Dr. Marston, about the other three-fourths of our schools, our other 50 schools, and what supports they need. I know that, Dr. Mitchell, you said you have clusters and you're working together. I think I would like to know who's in charge of what, what clusters are and who's helping. And like Dr. Hill said, we should be sharing our successes. We should be sharing what works among us, because it's who we are. We live here, we work here. It would be good to know, I believe Dr. Marsden, cabinet oversee certain schools.
Correct.
So
Yes,
it would be
that's
nice for us to see that again and just begin to have accountability to see how we're moving the dial, where they are, where they started. Like Mrs. Rogers said, if you start here, how are you moving? So that we can, celebrate everybody, not just the top ones.
Happy to provide that. Yeah.
And then I would like to request that, if at all possible, could we have the report earlier? Because I would like to study it. I would like to have it before, so that I don't know about the rest of my board members, but I would like to study it and just look at it so that I can ask more cogent questions or just clarifications.
Yeah, so we'll make sure for the 16th that we'll get that done and
Right.
get to you in your board book before
Right.
the board
And I'm
meeting.
looking forward to the disaggregated data of our subgroups, especially our ELs. Just like Ms. Howdige said, she has a third of her school in ELs. I don't know what the percentage is in all the other schools, but I know it's high, because we have, I think, about 14,000 ELs, and then with all the RFEPs, I think we have 28,000. We have 50,000 students, so we have more than half of our districts are ELs. So I really want us to zero in on that. Okay, thank you very much.
Happy to do so. Thank you, Dr. Flores.
All right, Dr. Wyatt.
Thank you, Madam President, and Dr. Mitchell and Ms. Richardson, thank you for a wonderful presentation. I've probably been through about a half dozen presentations on this, and I finally understand it. So great job. It's taken me that many times to learn it, and he has put it in a manner and with really good examples on really how to interpret, what we're looking at here is, my colleague down there, Gwen, called, what'd you call it? What's that game you? Twister? Well, I'll tell you, my mind's definitely twisted all around right now after looking at all this. So, as for our administrators out there, thank you for staying this evening. I know it's probably been a long, long day for you. Every day is a long day. And I applaud you on your accomplishments because I know we have a monumental task and challenge in front of us in regards to our district and the demographics and the students that we work with. Is it a fair comparison to look at other districts? Maybe, maybe not, but I just like to look at us and how we're moving that dial and how we're increasing significantly. We obviously have a number of schools here that we need to look at that have declined or maintained, and I know we'll do that. But the one thing I want to assure you is, and I know that this board will agree, is that we're here to support you in your endeavor and your staff as well. So I'll keep mine short, and I just want to say thank you again. And it's nice that I kind of finally understand this to an extent. I still don't really get some of the other stuff on there. And Dr. Mitchell, you and I could talk about this, and Dr. Lorraine and Rachel and Perry, that just on how we're moving from I'm still learning it. And it's amazing because I work with this. And so I have an idea now. So thanks.
Thank you, Dr. White.
All right, thank you so much for the board comments. I also wanted to add really quickly, especially when when Rodriguez Prep Academy presented, and especially on their ELA and their 14.9 gain, and could have met that 15 point, and would have been from increase to increase significantly, which would have changed it too. So, but good job.
You got it, Ms. Medina.
Yeah. And the thing is that when you do, I look at other districts, the only reason why is because you see a lot of news articles, and they'll be say, for instance, one that's neighboring one that likes to gloat a lot. And the thing is, I'm saying this for the reason why is they put our district down. And I'm not saying our district is where it should be. I know we're trying and we're doing a good job in getting there, slowly but surely. But it's just to give credit of the work that we're doing. We're not there, but we're definitely, we're getting there, slowly but surely. So thank you so much for the presentation, and I'm really proud of the work that we're doing. And I can envision us doing even more bigger and greater things. So thank you.
Thank you, board.
And I just thank you, Ms. Medina. I just want to thank Dr. Mitchell for his, this is complex work. So thank you for your leadership through this, not just with the board, but also with all of our leaders in the school district, our principals and their teams. Your competence, your expertise is proving the growth of our schools. Ms. Richardson, thank you. Navigating this new system is no easy task. So I compliment you on your work to help it make sense to us. I know in cabinet we sat board for, 3 sessions together till we began to understand it. And Dr. Mitchell walked us through it more slowly than he did you. So I don't know what that says, but we're all working on learning this together. And I'm confident that the work of our teams, as you've heard, Ms. Handy's leadership, Ms. Haudegui, Mr. Clyde, and every one of their other colleagues sitting with them, I'm confident that they are highly skilled and competent, and this kind of work is not easy. It's complex day to day, and we see that. We see you, and we appreciate your work, and your leadership is exactly what's making hope happen in this city. People are looking and saying, how is this possible? And just you wait until we start passing others, and they say, what's going on here? And I believe we'll be a model over time, not overnight, but over time. So thank you for your leadership and work. It's appreciated.
And Dr. Martin, if you haven't seen the new Inland Empire magazine, you came out in it. Well, the school district came out of it. They added your picture to it. But it was a great little piece on the schools to be looking out for, the school districts and the school sites. It mentioned colleges, but I think we were the only school district that was mentioned. So, yeah. So it just came out. So if you want to pick that up.
We'll take that.
All right, great. Yeah, it was. They just received it today, so it's this new one that came out. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and move to 9.0. We are behind, but I think this was good conversation to have, but if we can be mindful of future items that's in the agenda that we don't want to necessarily repeat, but just continue to move forward. So 9.1, report by San Bernardino Teachers Association. Good evening, everyone, as you head back home.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for
Rest
making
and
it
be
out
safe.
tonight. Taking one for the
No,
team.
I think they want to go home and rest.
Ms. Medina, there is no report from our Teachers Association
Okay.
tonight. I did receive that information.
Okay, great. And then report 9.2, report by California School Employees Association.
I am
He was
not
here earlier. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'm
he's
not
still
seeing
here.
a report right now. So no report from our
Okay.
Teachers Association, no report from our Classified School Employees
Okay,
Association.
then report by Communication Workers of America.
Do we have a report tonight? No report
No.
from our Communication
And
Workers
then
of America.
9.4, report by San Bernardino
Police
School Police Officers
officers.
Association.
I'm not seeing any report.
Okay, then 9.5, comments by board members. And if we start from one end to another end, and be mindful. So we'll start with Dr. Wyatt.
Thank you, Madam President, and again, I'll try to be brief. I know we said it earlier, we mentioned earlier, but I just want to thank Ginger Ontiveros last night. She did an amazing presentation for our school district, and I even had to say to her a couple times, like, wow, just not just the presentation, but the quality and the graphics of the presentation. I was beyond impressed. I've seen a lot of presentations, and I was just like, Ginger, how did you get that to look so darn good? Let alone all the great information in there. And she was an all-star. You know, our colleagues from other districts were definitely asking a lot of questions and really interested in what we're doing. So I will say this, I'm not surprised that we were in, you know, the I Empire magazine, because great things are happening here. And, you know, it's a testament of what we saw tonight from our administrators. So great job there, Ginger, and thank you again. I know another long night, so there are many. Had a wonderful experience at our junior ROTC 15th annual sports day competition. That was the first time I've been to one, and I don't know if anybody's ever gone to that, but we hosted a number of school districts. Gosh, I can't even think it was like 20 plus school districts in their junior ROTC programs at Arroyo Valley. And I just want to thank Major Williams for the invitation and the Hawk Battalion that we have over there. It was a lot of fun. Brought my son. Hopefully he would get a little bit more interested in it. But seeing a lot of young women and young men, you know, aspiring to possibly go into careers into our military and public safety. So wonderful experience. And again, I just want to say thank you to them for that. And again, just you know, our thoughts and prayers going out to the Maldonado family, and not just them, but also her peers, her friends, the students that knew her, as well as our staff. You know, a couple of us were able to be there for the vigil, and let me tell you, just such a horrific loss in our community. And I know we've talked about it, and we've talked about it up here on the dais about safe routes to school and safety around our schools and traffic safety around our schools. And I just ask us as a community to work together, as well as parents, as we bring our kids to school and pick them up from school. It could get pretty chaotic around our schools. And I don't mean just here in our district, but I get to see districts, all 33 of them across the county. And let me say, it is always busy before and after school. So we need to be vigilant. We need to take our time. We need to be looking out for children and adults around our schools. When we're backing out of parking spots, I mean, every day, every minute, we have to be aware of it. And I will just end on this note, my prayers are with them. I hope justice is served. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. Next.
I just wanted to follow what Dr. Wyatt said. We went to the vigil on Saturday. It was heart-wrenching.
I can imagine.
And that's where parents came up to us, and also Jade's mother. She says, please do something about that. And I know that we're going to work with the city to figure out, put speed bumps or more stop signs. I came down that road today, and I slowed down to 25, 30, but I had people passing me 40, 50 miles an hour. And there was a little boy, a young man, not a little boy, crossing, and he stopped for a car to go by, and he was in the crosswalk. And so I was like, oh my gosh, stop, you know. But I think that we are going to work with the city and address that. You know, a child's life was taken. I can't even imagine, and brutally. So I hope, like Dr. White said, that justice is served. I wanted to share that this week, the California Latino School Boards Association is holding their annual conference, Unity Conference, in Del Mar. And our board president, Abigail Medina, will be on a panel with presidents and is going to have a plenary session. So she will be speaking about her role as president and so forth. So I'm really proud that you're going to be there.
Thank you for having me there.
I'm also really proud that we're going to focus on civil rights and also ethnic studies and servant leadership of board members. Superintendent Turlickson will be there, and also candidate for the superintendent, Tony Thurman, will be there to speak. So it's, and also Assembly Member Thurman, I should say, and Assemblymember Jose Medina will also be there. Consuela Kickbush will give the first opening plenary on servant leadership, which will be exciting. And so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting. It's always there. And I'd like to also thank publicly my colleagues, Dr. Will Greer, Dr. Angela Luke, Dr. Clay, and Miss Dina Walker from the Inland Empire. They will be representing us in terms of their research. So I'm very, very proud that they accepted. And it'll be research that they've conducted in our school district and in the area. So they'll be representing us. And then Dr. Ron Wilkes from Dominguez Hill will also be there. It is a unity conference, and we're focused on unity. And he will be sharing his research on Black and Mexican roots. And it'll be great. We have 100 Puente students coming, and from 2 districts, Corona, Norco, and Riverside, and community college students, and they will be sitting with board members, and it'll be great because they get to, we're mentoring future board members. Dr. Marson will be there on Friday, so thank you for coming. And then I just want to give a special thanks to my colleagues, my fellow board members, for Friday. It was so heartwarming. I mean, I loved you to begin with, but I just grew in my love for you, even more so. And learning about each of you, you know, oh, Scott left. Learning about each of you, and just, you know, having the time. Everybody, we had a board retreat, and so to begin to just become, you know, to know each other better, and because we do have a lot of decisions to make. Dr. Marson, thank you too. Thank you to Mike Merchant, who led the facilitation, and to Dr. Gary Yee as well. So it just filled my heart, period. And you all are smiling, so I know it filled your heart too. Then I'd like to thank Linda Bardier for this. This is amazing. This is an amazing, amazing representation of how far we've come in terms, and we still have far to go, but it represents us as who we are. I heard the little buzzard. And I also want to thank you for, in our board correspondence, you included all the work that you've done with Footsteps to Brilliance. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to commend you and your staff for that. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Flores. Dr. Hill?
Thank you, Madam President. Ditto to a lot of what has been said already, so I won't repeat it. I just have one little complaint, and I guess it's not even a complaint, Mr. Pace. I'm sure you're listening to me and want to know what is it she wants now. But I'm just hoping at some point, if there's some extra funds someplace, we can get our lawnmowers out. The school ground's not looking too good right now. So I'm hoping that'll be on a priority list. Other than that, I'd like to give the rest of my time, although I don't think they'll need it that long, for Ms. Ontiveros and Ms. Bardier to talk about Clean Air Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. So tomorrow morning at E. Neil Roberts Elementary School, the community is gathering to not only support our Safe Routes to School program, but also to celebrate California Clean Air Day. The idea is that we would encourage our families to reduce the number of cars that are idling in front of schools by choosing to walk to school. It's a really good match for our Safe Routes to School program. So we'll be gathering as a community at E. Neil Roberts to join the kids on their walk to school, and then to participate in a school assembly where the children will take a clean air pledge, and there'll be some proclamations presented, as well as some partners in the community. This whole effort is led by Dignity Health and Southern California Gas, and so we're really pleased to partner with those agencies and the other members of our community who are bringing this important message to our schools.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that. Ms. Rogers?
Okay, so ditto too, I don't want to repeat some of the things said, but Ginger, you know I told you did an awesome job. And to our student, just constantly keeping that family in my prayers. I do want to add to what Dr. Hill said too, because I went to an event at a school, and someone asked me the question, were we on the special watering, you know, how there was a time period where we couldn't water and not water, so I didn't know the answer. So, you know, maybe you can give that to us. I don't know if we're still under some kind of mandate or not. There was some dry grass.
We can get that information.
Yeah, get that to me. And then I wanted to also get a little bit more clarity. This is probably more for you, Dr. Volkmer, than anyone, because my list is going to become your list. But the multicultural program celebration that we had, I didn't know, I wasn't really clear on what it was, so I would like to know. I know, Dr. Flores, you went, but I really wasn't clear on it. What it was, so I would like to know a little bit more about it. And one of my reasons for that is because we have a lot of partners that do things for us in certain areas, and so I'm hoping that we're reaching out or, you know, expanding to them to do other things for other students. And I mean, it's great, but we hear about those things all the time, so I'd like to hear about how we find out about those things, or at least let them know there's other supports we would like to tap into. It was mentioned, and I don't know whose list this will fall under, but I said I would bring it up. Their question came out about our students, and I think my students used to say this too, but rushing for lunchtime to eat, and then also there's some running out of meals. I don't know how that could ever happen, but I wanna honestly be able to say it's not happening. So please look into it, and so we can stop the rumors, if that is not true, that we run out of meals and that students are arriving at times where they can't get a meal and they're having to rush over and hope. Thank you for the BC on the distance for transportation, but I do want to get a little more clarity on what the empty seat program is, if in fact it is a program. I don't know what it is, how to answer that to individuals or what that is. So I would like to get information on that. And then also to two things, and I think it'll come up when we get to some other items, but I would like to see the counseling, counseling under the initiative as an initiative and not just a reporting, but that we're putting together a plan now moving forward for whatever it is that we're gonna do under our counseling strategic plan, because it did come up. Also, having talked to some of those individuals that are in the cohort for our dual immersion program, because I know we had some challenges and definitely it is being worked on, but the collaboration, again, another one of those collaborations from elementary to middle to high school. What is that really looking like for our students? Because we're having students stop in the middle, they get it, and then it's like, okay, I don't want to go to Airview being the only one, or I don't want to go to San Bernardino High School. And I think I mentioned this before. Maybe we need to look at an expansion if you all are working on that. I do want to applaud Cajon. I still get their reminds, I guess, because Danny, I don't know if you do the same thing. I just can't let it go. But I did applaud them that now on their reminds that they send out on via text of different activities are going on, they have something that is called fighting, their help to fight D's and F's. So I forwarded that back to Tina, that I saw it, and I thought that was great to start seeing individuals taking ownership and doing campaigns around D's and F's, and it actually says we are fighting against D's and F's. I know myself and my colleagues that are on the Gangs and Drugs Task Force want to remind the district and invite everyone on the 17th to our wonderful PDC, where we're having it held here for the first time in San Bernardino, our safety summit, and hopefully everyone will. The 17th, correct, Scott? The 17th? You better know the dates. The 17th is being held at the PDC. Yes, okay. And then lastly, I had no Dr. Marsden, probably I'm stealing his thunder, but I must say, I had the opportunity to go with Dr. Hill when she received her exemplary Educators Award from AXA, and I was just the driver. I was going to be a support and a driver, and we were so excited when we got down there, not only just because she was getting the award, but all of a sudden we looked around and we saw the entire San Bernardino city. Not everyone, but there was a lot of staff that were there, and it was exciting to see what they were engaging in this conference. And it was a leadership conference specifically for women, but it was just great. It was great to walk in there. I thought I was seeing ghosts. I'm like, what are they doing here? We're in Newport Beach. But they were there, and we wanted them to know, don't do it, please don't do it to me. I'm gonna stop right now. But we did tell them we support that. So we wanna see more of our staff attending. It was great. Thank you. And that's my time.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Tillman? Nothing?
Madam President, just real quick, I just wanted to add to Ms. Rogers that on the 17th also, the Hawk Battalion Color Guard will be honoring us with presenting the colors and leading us in the pledge. So, and I also want to just make sure to thank San Diego City Unified School District for allowing us to use the PDC and Dr. Mitchell and his administrative staff as well, working on the logistics behind that, because they have quite a busy schedule, and the PDC is definitely a wonderful place to have professional development and presentation. So thank you.
And the speaker is from Sandy Hook,
Yeah,
so it's going to be great.
We have some good ones coming in.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Okay, great. My board comments are just to make sure the families stay safe out there when walking. I know that we've spoken about it. We spoke about it earlier, but it's just making sure that, try to have some safety awareness, especially for those school sites that maybe the students have forgotten, okay, look both ways, make sure. And even then, you're at risk. But here in San Bernardino, and there, for me personally, there's some frustrations because I know that with the city's limited funds and certain access, we feel like we have to do a lot of the work on our, through the district. For instance, we are the ones paying for the crosswalks for the individuals to make sure the students are crossing certain crosswalks safely. And compared to other cities, as Mr. Tillman had mentioned, other cities will pay for it, but we're paying for it. So we hope, and with Dr. Marsden, when you end up talking with the mayor, is finding some ways where we can effectively work and how the city can help us with these areas because it's impacting our community. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes.
I was just reminded, and I think this is important, to remember that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so we do want to acknowledge that. Thank you all for texting that in to me.
And since you mentioned that October 11th is the coming out day for the LGBTQ community, so that's also another piece. So then we're going to go ahead and go to 9.6, comments by superintendent and staff members. Dr. Marsden?
Thank you, Ms. Medina. So one, you heard it, well, let me just make a couple reminders. First, board, just a reminder that we have the Fall Joint Boards meeting in Riverside County. San Bernardino County School Board Association take place Monday, October 29th at 5 p.m. And board, please be sure to confirm your attendance with Karen. Here's the handout of that event. We'll have a special guest speaker named Dan Rather. You may have heard of him before. He's a pretty popular guy. And secondly, I wanted to compliment Linda Bardier for her proactive work on sending a letter out to all of our parents, reminding them of safety, specifically relative to pedestrian safety, and there will be more coming. We're planning on sending out information to really to honor Jade and to help other community members to take notice of our students in the community, and we'll send that out later. It will reach all households, but this has been sent out to all of our parents already. And then last but certainly not least, if there's any or ever a person worthy of such honor as some of you did steal a little thunder, I would also like to honor Dr. Margaret Hill for receiving the 2018 Exemplary Women in Education Award by the Association of California School Administrators last week. Dr. Hill has also been selected as a 2018 Community Action Legacy Award honoree by the Community Action Partnership on Saturday, October 6th. So congratulations, Dr. Hill, for your leadership and continued support. You show us all how to do it. So this is a certificate from the district to you. And so thank you, Dr. Hill, for your leadership.
Thank you. I feel honored. Thank you so much.
And those are all my comments. I'm sorry, forgive me. Oh yeah, thank you, Dr. Mitchell, reminding me that we have an invitation for you.
Thank you, Dr. Marsden. So board, we've afforded an opportunity for our districts, for our district principals and teachers to do 2 days of instructional rounds with Dr. Richard Elmore. He's the author of instructional rounds. He'll be in our district on the 10th and 11th. Want to invite the board to come join us in rounds and debrief. So October 10th is a full day professional development that he'll be facilitating with all of our principals, two teachers each from each school, all of our union leads, as well as all of our advisory committees. So we have CAC, DAC, DAC, DLAC, and so on and so forth joining us. So the 10th is a full day teaching by Dr. Elmore, but the 11th, we're going to do school visits in the morning and then debrief in the afternoon. We'll really give you an opportunity to get deep with some of the work that we're doing around instructional rounds and be able to walk our campuses with teachers, with parents, and then have Dr. Elmore lead us through a debrief to richly describe. His work really is around richly describing the effective practice of teachers and learning how to use that information to replicate those practices. So everything we talked about tonight and all the principles mentioned in the rounds, we implemented rounds in our district about 5 years ago. So this gives us an opportunity to bring our new principals up to speed, as well as dust off, you know how over time your implementation kind of adapts and it loses fidelity to the author's intent. So this gives us a chance to realign our fidelity according to the author, and so it's a great opportunity for us, and we'd love to have you. We'll send specific information
You'll
through
send
Karen.
it out? You'll send it to us?
Yes, I will give it to Karen tomorrow and hope that she'll be able to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that. All right, we're going to go ahead and go to, let me see if I got this right, 10.0, which is consent calendar. Before we...
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Any items to be pulled? None? Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. There's a separate, any discussion? Okay, let's call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Let's go to 10.1, which is approval of the minutes. No, wait, I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm sorry. Wrong page. I'm on the action items. It's just that I'm using my computer, which is just trying to find the little tabs.
Page 33.
Okay, so personnel report 11.1, a personnel report dated October 2nd, 2018. 18, I don't know where the 19 came in from. Dr. Wiseman?
As presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Then 11.2,
So
board
moved.
ongoing initiatives.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 11.3, board top 10.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? See none, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 10.4, board request follow-up.
11.4.
I'm sorry, 11.4. What did I just say?
10.4.
10.4. Yes,
So
so
moved.
correction, 11.4.
Second.
There's a second? Yes. So any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 11.5, future agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. 12.0, which is summary of board requests by Dr. Volkemer, will now summarize board requests.
Thank you, President Medina. Board, these are the ones I've had listed for this evening. Number one, find other ways to share successes, meaning other types of data points that were illustrated today through the principal presentations. Number two, provide cabinet oversight of schools, which particular cabinet members oversee which schools. Number three is make sure we're providing the PowerPoint presentations as part of your board packet on Friday so you can study them over the weekend and be prepared with your questions. Number four, work with the city. This came up a couple of times, but work with the city on traffic issues related to Pacific Avenue, as well as safety awareness activities for our students. Number five, revisit and provide information around our watering schedules for our lawns and grounds at the schools. Number six, provide information about the recent multicultural celebration and make sure that other events like that are being shared with the board so they can attend and promote those types of activities. Number seven is provide information about running out of meals and/or running out of time to eat those meals at our schools through nutrition services. Number eight is clarify, give some clarity on the empty seat program and how it functions. Number nine, I think I heard a request, but I didn't necessarily hear board agreement with it, and that's to move the counseling issue from reports to initiatives. Okay.
It's like we're just it says reports, but my understanding or what my request was, where we're looking at a counseling strategy out of, then they'll be reporting where we're moving forward with changes or implementations, but not just this, just regular reporting. We're looking at the whole strategy.
Strategic actions. Okay, got it. Thank you for that clarification. And then the last one is the provide information about matriculation between dual language programs. And those were all that I had. Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Good evening, everyone. Our next board meeting is October the 16th. And we did get back on schedule, 5 minutes early. Yay. Thank you. And I just want to say thank you, board members, for being patient. And I did notice that raising of the hands and waiting your turn. Thank you.